of a man from Galilee, prophecy told, born a Jew under heaven's light, circumcised on the 8th day, following the rite. He walked the earth, a rabbi true, studied Torah, old yet new, with gentle hands and spirit bright. He brought the world a guiding light. Rabbi Yeshua ben Yosef, hear the call, teacher and savior, loved by all. From David's line, the promised way, bringing hope to this day. The scriptures say in Luke and John scrolls, he taught with wisdom, healing souls, Gentiles and Jews, together bound in love and charity, blessings found. Remember the word from Acts of plea, all who believe share equally. Let goods be shared without delay. In unity we walk God's way. Rabbi Yeshua ben Yosef, hear the call, teacher and savior, loved by all. From David's line, the promised way, bringing hope to this day. Psalm 9, a lamp and light, guiding steps through darkest night. Gentiles and Jews, hand in hand, together walking through the land. Rabbi Yeshua ben Yosef, our guide, through Torah's truth we shall abide. His love and grace forevermore. Our Lord, our Savior, we adore.
God, we thank you. We thank you for Israel.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you for joining me today, Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. So much stuff to cover. Trump and Bibi agree on their disagreement of their tense phone call. Some updates on the Kushner Accords and the Kushner resort they're trying to put in this island. Spencer Pratt has advanced to the runoff for mayor of LA. There's a bunch of clips. Amalek is here. We're going to go over the interview he clipped up about the queer Christians and Christianity. We've got an interesting clip I want to analyze of Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit. Noahide maxing on some skinhead guy. Are you here, Amalek? Okay. I didn't check if he's here. And that's really weird. Hold on. No, not here yet. All right. New powerful intro from John Garadis, getting us going. Thank you, John. You're the best. Legend John Garadis. Amalek will be here in a second. No worries. First clip, Trump and Netanyahu both being interviewed, confirming this latest leak phone call. But basically they're like, we're bros, we were fighting, we disagreed, we talk mean sometimes, but we agree, we're both Zionist at the end of the day. Something like that. Let's hear it.
Because, again...
What do you say to people who claim that Bibi Netanyahu tricked you into going into Iran?
Well, they're just, the enemy. They're just, the Democrats, DUM. These are Democrats. These are people that don't know what they're doing. They want men playing in women's sports, and they want open borders so the world can pour into our country, and they want transgender for everybody, surgery, and They want transgender
They want everybody to be trans, everybody.
mutilization of our children. No, these are just words. You know, that's all they do. That's all they're good for is words. Like, I heard that the other day for the first time. I said, he tricked me. I mean, I'm the one that started it because, again, I don't want to bore anybody, but I started because we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Now, that pertains to Israel because they probably would have been the first one to get hit. There would be no Israel. Tell you what, if there wasn't me, there would be no Israel right now. And it started off as when I terminated the horrible Barack Hussein Obama, the Iran nuclear deal that he penned. And that would have given Iran that was a road to a nuclear weapon, and I terminated it, which was lucky I did it.
That was a road not to making a nuclear weapon, actually.
And then I stopped it a second time.
Yo, there he is. Yo. We're watching the first Trump clip about Bibi and their tense phone call about invading Lebanon.
With the B-2 bombers flying, bombing the hell out of them.
Right. Yep. I'll get it.
They would have had a nuclear weapon if I didn't do that attack, which, you know, very few people would have done it. If I didn't do that attack, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon and they would have used it almost immediately.
Yeah. And
same song and dance every time. By the way, I forgot, powerchat.live/knowmorenews. Have your comment read on the stream. Support the stream, the everyday streams. I did 2 yesterday, actually. I did a late night one for the late night No More News crew. It was a good video. We analyzed an interview from 2004 Mel Gibson did with, I think it was ABC, and about the Passion of the Christ. And the ADL was in it, and Jewish scholars were in it, and they're talking about Jews killing Jesus, and Mel's talking about anti-Semitism and Christianity, and it's a good one, I think.
And how he killed Jesus, actually, not just
right.
the Jews, but he was actually the one that did it primarily, is what he thinks.
Yeah, we all did. It's funny that they think it's the most important thing to ever happen because it's God's plan and prophecy fulfilled, and we wouldn't be saved without Jesus' sacrifice. But then they're seething mad at the people that did it, like God's chosen people that I guess chose them to reject their Messiah, to bring salvation to the Gentiles. If you believe this gobbledygook story. But okay, now let's watch Netanyahu. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Netanyahu respond. Here's more from Trump.
They probably would have been the first one to get hit.
Okay, no, that's the clip we just saw. Now here's
Hold
Netanyahu respond.
I was looking this up before we jumped on. Is Barack Ravid still the main source of this story? Do you know? Because when I looked into
that's
this
what I
last
saw.
night, Barack, he is a liar. He is the one who is doing the whole Bibi Netanyahu and Biden are arguing, and it's just you know what I mean? He was basically doing that whole song and game, and so now he's doing the same thing for Trump. That's what I think's going on. I don't know. I don't know how. Maybe there's a string of truth to this, but this idea that Trump or Biden are having this major shift or fight against any of the presidents, I think is total cope. It's I don't know. I think
and let's get real. Strong allies sometimes disagree and get mad at each other also.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I said this to you before. I do think that Biden tried to moralize Bibi Netanyahu, and that Bibi didn't like that. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Max Dalbear.
Dalbear sent $10 on Rumble. Shekel support.
Shekels. You're good for 2 days. No small hat.
That kind of clash is that kind of clash is nowhere near the level that people paint it as some sort of policy shift. You know what I mean? Towards Israel. That's not happening.
All right, let's hear what Bibi says.
The nuclear program in Iran finished. We want to make sure that
So let's talk about the call that you had with him this week, which is getting a lot of attention. The president confirmed that he said you're effing crazy. How did you react to that? What really happened in that call?
Well, I'm not going to get into details of our conversations. We've had thousands, a lot of them. And if you think this is a crisis, you should be in some other conversations. But we've always found a way. We have so many agreements. We agree on the main things. We want to get Iran, the nuclear program in Iran, finished. We want to make sure that Iran doesn't pose a threat to Israel, to the Middle East, to America, that it doesn't develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, not only to Israel and to every capital in Europe, but to every city in the United States. That's our common goal. That's what we set out to do. and to expand the circle of peace, as the president and I did in the Abraham Accords together. So we have common goals. Sometimes we have, as in the best of families, you have these tactical disagreements. We always find a way to work them out, and we do so as great friends. We can disagree in the morning, and by the afternoon we have we're common action.
So I was going to say.
Sounds like a real healthy, functional relationship, doesn't it? Just two bros.
Dude, they always do this because it helps. But what happens is when they do this little arguments thing,
Gives them cover from both of their detractors in both their countries.
Yes, in both their countries. It plays internally so well. It distracts your whole public. Like, there's so many positive things that happen that when they do this. Well, again, like there needs to be policy change, and there's no way we're even remotely approaching that right now.
Thank you, Mark Crampton. Appreciate you. This is another reenactment. We played an AI reenactment of the call the other day, and now here's another one. Probably more realistic of what it sounded like.
What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking crazy, Daddy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. You're so bad. Oh, stop it.
The golden pager. You gotta love his golden pager. Nice touch.
Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this. Not me, though. What am I wearing? The usual. Until
Married to the devil.
I'll FaceTime you then. What the fuck are you doing?
We got some more AI, some more Russian cope AI, America, demonic, satanic AI. We'll cover a bit later, but everybody's talking this morning about Trump teased, I don't think he's serious either, that this thing they built here for the big bread and circus UFC fight for the emperor here.
Don't know that in Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower, 1889 it was built. It was supposed to be taken down immediately after the World's Fair. And then they said, you know, we sort of like it. Let's leave it up a little bit longer. And then they said, let's leave it up longer and longer and longer. Well, they never took it down. And, you know, we're building something in front of the White House that's quite...
Dude, no, we are not keeping that ugly
He couldn't
thing.
be serious. He couldn't be serious.
Dude.
You don't keep those. That's a temporary
Eiffel
stage.
Tower. There's our Eiffel Tower, America. There it is, guys. There's our golden calf.
Yeah.
There's our... What a...
He's like, we could start hosting fights every weekend. You know, the tickets can go to the tax treasury. He's going to start selling us on the literal Coliseum at the White House.
Dude, he literally destroyed a wing of the White House, and he's like rebuilding it that's like bigger than the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to look so stupid. Our the head of state's house now is going to look so dumb.
He's always been like the emperor at the Coliseum. Like even back in the boxing days, he would always like have his walk-ins at UFC, and he sits courtside.
Remember?
And they win, and they come like pay homage to the king after they win and stuff, and go and shake his hand and talk to him, right?
Remember when he was in WWE? Do you remember that?
Right. Oh yeah, that too, of course. That and boxing, and
he was like a whole part of the whole storyline in WWE.
Oh yeah.
Against Vince McMahon, whatever. I didn't watch it, but I'm aware of I had like cousins that watched that stuff, and he was like part of the lore of WWE. He was like written in.
He dreams of being like the emperor, Roman emperor in Gladiator, where he's like thumbs down. Like they fight at the UFC, and they're like, oh, he's tapping out, and Trump's like down with the Muslim one or something like that, right? I could see him fantasizing about that. If I can think of it, he's thought of it for sure. Everybody knows the famous Joaquin Phoenix thumbs down, right? Trump decides the winner, right? Like Mortal Kombat.
And I'm looking at it, and maybe we'll never, ever take it down. Don't know that in Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower, 1889.
You know, is he really talking about this? Is this really the context? He's obviously messing around, but he is doing his Arch of Titus too. He's got the Colosseum and the Arch.
Colosseum, Arch, and Ballroom, and secret temple bunker as well.
Yeah. Kushner discussing in a new interview the Abraham Accords. Let's hear his latest.
Join the Abraham Accords. It shows there is one thing I'm looking at from a more of a personal interest. I don't know if it will qualify for the fund. but obviously been helping Steve and to promote the Abraham Accords to make the ones that are existing stick, and then also to find new opportunities. So I have a partner, my partner Asher, who I mentioned before. He's actually of Moroccan descent and actually of Syrian descent. So we've been looking, maybe there's some opportunities to bring investment to Morocco, a country that I know you're very proud of, to really help them create dividends from the Abraham Accords. And so to show the people there that there can be great rewards, because leaders who join the Abraham Accords, it shows that they're thinking about the future, they're pushing for stability. It shows a lot of wisdom and a lot of forward thinking. So those are the environments where I think investors would want to be in. And I have a lot of American investors who are very who love the Abraham Accords, who want to join us in that. So we're looking at opportunities to invest in countries who have joined the Abraham Accords, but we're also looking at opportunities to invest in countries that might join the Abraham Accords and to create,
I hate listening to this guy.
Economic packages to incentivize them. So another one of my partners is Syrian, and he said, Jared, we should put together a big investment package maybe for Syria, so that if they join the Abraham Accords, they could have a big incentive to do it. How amazing would it be to have a Muslim and Jewish firm working, Jewish partners, with American, working together to try to
Ishmael and Isaac getting back together
there. So something we're looking at. Obviously, there are some complications, but I think there's a ton of potential there. And if they were to join the Abraham Accords, I think that there's a lot of people who would want to invest there to help give them the best chance to achieve their full potential.
Oh my gosh, we all could have lived without hearing any of that bullshit.
You covered the island thing, right? I think I saw.
Yeah, I'm going to cover that again in a second too, but I forgot to do this one. Look at this before and afters. Dude, it's going to be a who's who of who watches this UFC event. Not many tickets, it looks like.
I hope it's like Rogan and all those people there, and I hope a UFO comes down out of the sky, like Independence style, over the White House, and Jesus comes down right then and comes over and sits down next to them and watches it with them.
Yeah.
Really make him go
Jesus
wild.
really loves the combat fighting sports. and then the winners are going to go, thank you, Jesus, for our... I bet you there's going to be a big win with the Jesus in the speech. Watch that.
They always do.
Yeah. Thank you, God, for bringing us Donald Trump. It's going to be something crazy like that. Our savior, Donald Trump. I can see it. Hey, did you see that one Christian UFC fighter? There's a picture going around the other day. It was like him and his wife and his two adopted black sons, the big Christian influencer one. I saw everybody sharing.
Yep.
Yeah, like, no. So you guys remember yesterday the clip going around we covered of Ivanka talking about this new Mediterranean island that they want to build a big resort on, right? Now here's a new report about the Albanians trying to shut them down and stop it. And apparently it was going to be some, I don't know if this is true, but I saw a rumor that it has like military bunker weapon stuff also on the island, like some Mossad fortress. Fight to save the protected wetlands. Last untouched coastal areas in the Mediterranean. Kushner wants a huge swaths of it for a luxury resort. This is a few days ago. Protesters fighting the construction security guards. Thousands flooding the capital to shut it down.
Ka një revolt madhe popullore për atë që po ndodh në gjithë Shqipërinë, ama shkëndija ishte ngjarja në Zvërnec që e pam gjithë në rrjetet.
Hey Kushner, don't you have enough money? How many more billions do you need? How many more resorts do you guys need to own? Until every strip of coastline is taken up so you can profit off it?
Firme sigurie, sepse po protestonte kundër një gardi që është vendos aty në mënyrë të jashtëligjshme.
Uninhabited island. Think about the turtles and the birds, okay? They need that island to survive.
So a friend sent me this yesterday. It's the Wikipedia. I'm gonna put it in chat. It's the Wikipedia page for this island, and it says here, the island is now uninhabited, but there is small Italo-Albanian naval base of reportedly 2 soldiers used to whatever. Blah 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 blah. It says there are approximately 3,600 nuclear bunkers which were built by the Albanians during the Cold War on the island. There's also a villa on the island belonging to the former communist defense minister. In 2010, the island's surrounding seawaters were proclaimed a national marine park by the Albanian government. So I think from what I can tell when I was looking it up, this is the part that's pissing them off. Is this it's supposed to be some like national park type thing, and they're going to basically get rid of that. That's what some of the protesters are complaining about. But also, like, isn't that crazy that they're doing this nuclear bunkers thing? Like, that's what.
Yeah, they need a bunker for the Gog and Magog.
Yeah,
that's their bunker hideout getaway.
Well, are you familiar with? I mean, this is a huge economic part of both New Zealand and even like parts of the Rocky Mountains, where a lot of like really wealthy people are like spending a lot of money to get like bunkers built. Basically.
I've always been hearing that. Oh, the billionaires are building bunkers, like they know something. I've always heard that. Yeah, there is something to it, of course. I wish I had money for a bunker.
Yeah, if I had $1 billion, you think I wouldn't be doing that? Like, I would absolutely like throw a couple million towards get out
a couple $100 million.
Yeah, with maybe some lasers and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Macrometer, for the big dono.
I don't even know where Albania is. Just turn it into a golf course.
You got to know where Albania is.
Yeah. Hey, at least have an Albanian build something there. Let them decide if they want to do it, not some Jared Kushner New York Jew and the president's daughter.
Albania is like where the ancient, it's like north of the ancient kingdom of Epirus. It's like so important to our history. You got to learn about it. You got to know about Albania.
Oh, she told us she enraged the Albanians when she acted like she like discovered the island.
Her story. Yeah. Her story isn't it crazy that they do like the in-person myth making? When you were watching that, that's what I remember that now. Yeah, how crazy is that? It's like Adam King does the same thing, and she has already picked up on it and doing it naturally too. It's like they build stories as they're going. Like they build like a mythos around something. Like to what degree that story is true, it doesn't really matter. But what she's doing is she's trying to like giving legitimacy to her and her husband as why they can have the island, and they're doing it over some like little gay story with like a little children's tale in it. You know what I mean? Oh, we swam up and we saw it. And now it's ours. Basically, God promised.
Yeah,
it to
make
us.
it seem like it's fate or something or destiny.
Yeah.
That's how we found it.
Oh, Albanian Prime Minister worked with Kushner to approve the project. I bet you Kushner's like, hey, we'll get you some good deal from America, right? Kushner's probably getting these type of perks, like letting him buy up national parks in other countries, because he's handing out favors to the leadership. Bet you anything, right?
Yeah.
That's how he gets these special deals. Anti-corruption authorities have launched an investigation into the deal after sudden changes to the land's protected status.
That's what I was. That's what a lot of people are protesting about. It makes sense. Like every country has people in their country like that are like environmentalists, you could say. And I think I
quid pro quo. Favor for a favor. That's what he's working. While he's running around being Mr. Diplomat, but not even officially in the cabinet for Trump, talking to every world leader, he's filling his pockets as he's doing it with these special deals. This is what he was
doing in between, too. Like in between the Trump's terms, those 4 years that they were out, this is what Kushner was doing all over the globe. It was all over the Middle East and Europe, Eastern Europe. He was setting up deals like this all over the place. And like, you could say, oh, you don't have a smoking gun that they said like, oh, you pay us this much and we'll give you that much. Like there might not be like a quid pro quo, like 100% paper trail for each of these, but the implication is obvious, right? Like anybody, if Kushner came to you and said like, oh, hey, we're going to do a business deal, you would just follow along with it because you would kind of know, right? Like, oh, I'm going to get some sort of kickback at this point. That's how big the corruption is. That's how obvious it is. It's like it's like implied.
Yeah. Kushner and his investors say the project will respect the local ecology, but their plans include building 10,000 hotel rooms, a marina for yachts, which locals say will pollute the protected waters with sewage.
I mean, it obviously will, right? Like, there's not even will it or not. That's obviously like that's what happens when you put yachts and shit.
All right, let's do some of these Spencer Pratt things. Just a couple short clips. So he got 30% of the vote. He still lost to Karen Bass, but now they're going to be in a runoff. The communist Democratic Indian woman lost. She was crying. Spencer took her glory. It's kind of cool to see, even though Spencer just seems like a new Trump, and you know, he's sucking up to the Jews also, of course, which if you want to win the election is not a bad idea.
I was gonna say I mean, if you want to win.
Yeah. Here's him calling out Karen Bass, who sucks. Oh, also, it looks like could possibly be a new governor in California and be a Republican. First time having a Republican governor in a long time. And I don't know much about him. He's he's Oxford. He has an accent. And I'm sure he's a huge Zionist. I haven't seen the evidence of it yet, but I'm sure he is.
You don't have to try very hard to find it.
Yeah. But the other guy they're running against, the Democrat, is like some immigration attorney named Becerra. So it's like those are the options here.
What do you want to tell her if she sees this?
You know,
are you going to debate Karen Bass again? And what do you want to tell her if she sees this?
You know, I love debating her on NBC. I look forward to a couple more on NBC and Fox. We can do debates every Friday if she would like, because this actually became my most favorite thing to do. So yes, as many debates as Mayor Bass would like.
What would you like to tell her now that it's on? Between the two of them?
Oh, I mean, she knows it's on. She's. I hope she's ready. You know, because I literally could not be more excited.
This is a campaign that started because you lost your home in the Palisades fire, because your parents lost.
Are you going to debate Karen Bass again?
Is that really why it started, though, or is this just not?
You see how important like creating a stupid origin mythos is?
Yeah.
For this kind of stuff, like stupid superstitious origin myths that they, for whatever reason, they make political legitimacy in people's minds. It's kind of sad.
It's like he's always been a clout chaser and attention hungry and wanting controversy and wanting headlines and tabloids and TMZ. And it's like, I feel like this is just the next thing in that.
Well, it's like when Biden was like, "Oh, I started running when I saw the Charlottesville and the people with the veins sticking out of their neck," right? Like that's not what happened. Like, you were already doing an exploratory committee. Like, shut up.
I don't want you smoking in front of kids at the park. About safety, the safety, the lights being on, potholes. What a mayor should care about. If it's legal, you know, I'm gonna be enforcing. I mean, you can't be smoking. I don't want you smoking in front of kids at the park. You know, I'll be enforcing.
That's already the law.
Kid at a swing, I'll be getting you as mayor. You know, no more drugs around kids at parks and schools, in front of daycares. Even if it's a legal pot, we need to have a society of consequences again. I never thought growing up I could smoke a blunt.
Is this a big problem? Kids in schools at recess getting secondhand smoke from people smoking right outside the gate? Is that actually a thing?
I don't
know.
I could see.
I don't know if it's secondhand.
If I was at the park and somebody sparked up some weed, I would be pissed too. But I've never done that. Never seen that. I've been to a lot of parks.
Group chats and stuff from California that I'm in that complain about this. Like, why does everything outside smell like weed? So I don't know. I don't live out there, so I
when you're in like cities, sometimes big cities, you'll smell it like, you know, vaguely, but like he's acting like it's not already illegal to smoke at a public park with kids.
At the park, now that happens. Moms do not care about.
So that's like not even really saying anything. Is that just supposed to appeal to like the red wave people? That wasn't even like a strong take on anything. He's just
Rasta Jesus is not going to like that.
Rasta Jesus, no, lost Rasta Jesus' vote.
3 years old.
Here he is on No Jumper. That's quite the campaign trail. No Jumper.
Everything I ever spent money on, they act like I didn't have it. So yes, I spent all this money. I was also 22, 23 years old, was planning on being Kim Kardashian, rich and famous. So
Chat says they live in San Francisco and there's weed smoke everywhere, every day. Yeah, that's what I said. Big cities, right? Big cities.
Like, I mean, in LA, so it makes sense in LA. I bet you everywhere you go in LA smells like weeds. Like, you can't probably walk 2 blocks without smelling weed in LA. Like, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But I'm just I'm speculating.
It's like being in a big city and like trying to say you never want to smell cigarettes anywhere. Actually, some cities around me have cigarettes banned, no smoking allowed outside, which I love. I hate it.
Yeah, they did do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't hoarding my money like this was my one run at the game. You know, if I didn't get unplugged, which that's the game, like the Kardashians, Comcast stayed with them. Viacom said, oh, this crew's too expensive. So I wasn't wrong and I wasn't right. But that idea, again, that's my money. It wasn't tax money. So if we're going to say he spent 10 million of his own money when he's 23, this lady, Karen Bass, just spent $400 million last year of our money to house allegedly 1,400 people. If we're going to do the who spends more reckless money, and mine wasn't reckless. I had great dinners. I treated a lot of friends. Like I was supporting people. I was funding, rappers, MMA fighter. I had so many people I was taking care of with that money that you go ask them right now, buying my friends suits so they could go try to be real estate. Like I was a very good person to be friends with. With that money, I'll run it back right now. If this is what's going to stop me from being mayor, like those decisions, I would have done all those decisions again. And if I don't get elected,
Mike sent $5 on Rumble. Keep up the great work.
Termike? Is that like a termite? Is that a play on Mike?
I'm gonna go back to selling healing crystals and be with my family. And
hummingbirds, baby.
Hummingbirds will be back. I'll just be eating my tacos at Don Antonio. So I only have the pressure of doing my hardest effort so I can look and be like, it was not God's plan.
Dude, he's into magic crystals. That's so feminine. Magic crystals. Okay. I just can't bring to myself to cover this Dave Rubin. I can't even listen to Dave Rubin. Let's do these. Wait, hold on.
Oh, it's about to get gay?
Yeah, we're about to get gay. But here's how lame is this? It's like, I'm going to lose the election, but we consecrated. We're never has anybody ran for office believing in Jesus and saying they like Jesus before. So brave, stunning and brave.
Today, my wife Valeria and I...
James Fishback running for governor of Florida.
Today, my wife Valeria and I went to a local Catholic parish, met with the priest, and we did something that no other campaign in the history of our state has ever done. We dedicated our campaign entirely, in its totality, unequivocally, to the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ.
Are we supposed to believe that the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ is impressed or thankful for your losing campaign?
I'd be pissed if I was Jesus.
Yeah, he's like, hey, thanks for your losing campaign, bro. Jesus, dude.
Today,
remember he tweeted out, he's like, you can't be America first if you're not Christ first. Yeah, I hope people that say this type of bullshit lose every single election everywhere forever. All right. Let's get Noahide, okay? Real quick. This is okay. Myron Gaines gets checked by a white supremacist who tells him he needs to stop speaking to white women, but that's not the reason I want to play it. Hold on, though. That one got 7,000 likes. This is the one we want to play. That's 4 minutes. Crazy Abrahamic Noahide shilling. Look at what he does, this guy. This guy says he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in the Bible. He tries to shame him.
This is so dumb. I'm from FL, not looking forward to the election. Also, Almalek generational run incoming.
That would be amazing. All right, check this out. Watch how much he shills Torah God Yahweh. He's just like a hardcore Yahweh Noahide shill.
Platform to do it. So the reality.
Myron, listen,
citizenship.
You're not white.
Sorry.
We don't need you talking to white women, trying to interact with them at all.
And that's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem. I don't need to be white to give a. See, here's the thing. You're behaving like a black person now. You're chimping out. You're literally behaving like a white person. You are behaving like a black person.
So, hold on, chimping out. He just calmly said something, and now you're getting your hand up. You're chimping out and raising your voice.
This is Chud the Builder's. This is the work of Chud the Builder. Chud did this. I'm blaming
Okay.
him.
You know, does anybody know who this guy is, or is he a known person?
I don't know. It doesn't
Just a nobody.
I don't recognize
Okay.
him.
I've never seen him before.
See, here's the thing.
No,
You're behaving like a black person now. You're tipping out. You're literally behaving like a white person.
losing, Myron.
You are behaving like a
Myron,
black
you are
person.
losing.
So here's the
You
difference.
lost.
See, here's the funny
They're
part.
not your women, Myron.
When I criticize black people, they'll sit there and say stupid shit like you're saying. You're not black, so you can't criticize us.
They're
You're doing
right.
the same
They're
shit
right.
about
You're
shit
not
right now.
black. You're grifting.
Because I
You're
don't have to
grifting
be.
'cause you're
I don't.
grifting.
See, here's the thing.
You're grifting.
Hey, Baldy, age of 47, relax.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Age of 47, relax.
No.
Here's the thing. I don't have to be white to be able to identify white problems as to why you guys have the problems that you guys have. Clearly, you don't have the platform or the ability to tell these women to get back in the fucking kitchen. So guess what? Now I got to do it for you because you don't have the.
Yeah, no white guys ever tell women to get in the kitchen. Totally, dude. Totally novel take.
Do it. So the reality is that look, man, you can do what you want to do. You can say what you want to say. You can be a white nationalist. Cool.
I don't know if telling him like you're not allowed to talk to white women is the angle. Is that the hill you want to die on? Are we not allowed to make fun of black women or Jewish women or something? Yeah. Oh, Agent 47. I thought he said age 47. I'm like, you calling him old? But like, oh, you're not allowed to say anything about white women or talk to white women. It's like,
fight and defend for your ability to do so. But if we're going to have this discussion about white replacement, etc., well, who controls and who are the gatekeepers to sex? It is the woman. So stop complaining, stop crying, because you sound like a fucking black right now. Let's be honest. You have a victim mindset. Stop being a pussy. Get out there. Tell your women, stop being whores. Stop subscribing to feminism. Start creating
yeah, tell your women to stop talking to Amaru, whatever his name is, if anything.
19 cent $5.
You're like, don't talk to that.
We need a based black Muslim to save us.
Right, that's true.
families. Start going in the church. Start
going to church. Yeah, that'll save things, bro. That'll
some white babies.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Okay, so look, to some degree, I actually do agree with you. But here's the thing. The problem here is that, yeah, we white people, we got to figure out what the roles are going to be for white men and white women. The problem is, I've talked to a lot of white folks, we don't want your Muslim, get the women back in the kitchen, put a garbage bag on their head. We don't want that. So when you're promoting that stuff, that's never going to work for us. Do you understand that?
Promoting Islam?
Yeah, you're Islamic. We don't want your Islamic values.
Actually, if you watch my podcast.
Yeah, he doesn't promote Islam to white people, right? He promotes Christianity. Like you just said, go to church.
Because I don't really talk about religion ever.
Your literally view of women is basically
doesn't talk about religion ever. Doesn't that? I wonder why. Not good for business.
Yeah, that's exactly why with him.
Yeah, we have a religious problem, and you want to talk about religion never while you promote the Jewish God. Funny how that works.
Islamic, correct? That you hate them.
I would no. Actually, I would argue that. Are you Christian?
No, I'm an atheist.
Isn't that crazy how somebody just doesn't believe in Yahweh and isn't convinced that God exists? And it's like everybody, they laugh. There's really a lot of atheist shaming, huh? You notice that? Let's see what happens.
So dumb because none of these people know. Like, if you could try to talk to any of these people, like they're all doing it because they themselves are insecure, right? Because they actually don't know shit about the Bible or any of this stuff.
Yeah, spends every show talking to dumb OnlyFans girls, helping them promote their OnlyFans, and then never talks about religion.
If you watch my podcast, I don't really talk about religion ever.
Your literally view of women is basically Islamic, correct? That you hate them.
I would no. Actually, I would argue that. Are you Christian?
No, I'm an atheist.
What, you worship Yahweh? You worship the Jewish God, the foreskin demon monster? That's who you worship? Oh, he doesn't worship Hashem in his Abrahamic covenant.
That explains everything. Yeah,
that explains everything. What does that explain? He doesn't like you talking trash to white women or promoting Islam in Western nations, so that's because he doesn't believe in the Bible God? Maybe it does explain everything, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like explain a lot to me.
Yeah.
And also, just for the record,
God is black. I don't worship him. No, Jesus wasn't there.
Myron,
No, actually, Jesus is a Jewish myth, and God is a myth, and it's the Jewish God. So good own, huge own there.
One more thing I gotta tell you.
So yeah, like
1 second. Let me just say one more thing.
My thing is no, because you're coming in from a position where you don't know. I don't promote Islam. I'm actually very I respect religion. I understand religion, but I kind of find it funny because Islam, Christianity, the Abrahamic religions in general kind of solve this problem. So maybe you might want to find God.
Oh, hold on. You left the other Abrahamic religion out. Christianity, Islam, Judaism solve this problem. So Judaism and its offshoots are the answer to our problems, Myron? Can you believe that? Maybe this is why Fresh and Fit gatekeeps the Jesus question. And like I've been saying for years, promotes the Russia shilling Chrislam Abrahamic opposition to Jews while you're LARPing around like a brown Nazi.
He's like a brown version of the whatever podcast. It's literally like a commercial for OnlyFans. Like his whole podcast, him and the whatever podcast are basically commercials for OnlyFans.
Yep.
And like part of the appeal of something like that, if your thing is that you're like into OnlyFans girls like a degenerate, then what you like the part they like about it is that it's like transgressive and they hate the rule, like they hate it. So they have this thing where they like to listen to a guy sit there and berate them about it and say, oh, you shouldn't be giving your money to all these OnlyFans girls. Here, I'm going to bring on the OnlyFans girls and we're going to tell them how much we hate them. And then these guys are like using that as an advertisement to go buy them. So it's making that to them it like makes that thing like better, I guess you could say. It's fucking pathetic.
Oh, the Abrahamic religions are the solution, he says. Oh, I don't talk about religion, but go to church and the Abrahamic God. Oh, you don't worship the Abrahamic God? Explains everything. Dude, you're such a kosher shill, dude. This is such controlled opposition, promoting the Jewish religions in opposition to Judaism.
You're coming in from a position where you don't know. I don't promote Islam. I'm actually very I respect religion. I understand religion, but I kind of find it funny because Islam, Christianity, the Abrahamic religions in general kind of solve this problem. So maybe you might want to find God.
Yeah, I hate them all. No.
Okay, that's the problem. You might want to find God, and that would help you.
But
find the Jewish God, and you'll be helped. Oh, you don't worship Jewish fairy tales? That's your problem. You don't believe in the magical Torah? That's your problem. You don't believe in the Jews and their prophecies and the nation of priests? Well, there's all your problems right there. Find Yahweh. Noahide maxing, dude. Like I've been saying, him, Sneeko, Zerka, Fuentes, the whole leading Andrew Tate, Candace, all the way down the list. All Russia shills and all Abrahamic gatekeepers.
No, listen, your view of women is basically Islamic. You hate them. You want them to wear garbage.
No, it's based on all the Abrahamic religions. Devout Christians, devout Jews, and devout Muslims would agree with me that women need to be subservient to men. That's how it's always worked.
Excuse me, who are you?
This woman's the worst.
Shit, we got the Karen. Let's go.
I literally have no idea who you are.
Okay, so I don't know what just happened. Female entitlement. She just cut the line. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say? Agent 47 or no?
Who are you?
Dude, she just totally Mike-mogged this skinhead here. He let the Jewish woman, the Jewish leftist came up and totally Mike-mogged him when he was he was about to get destroyed on the Jesus question, and this lady swooped in and wrecked it.
Actually,
yeah, one more thing. I'm 1/4 Ashkenazi, just FYI.
Oh no! Why?
Makes sense.
That is fucking hilarious, dude.
No.
You guys better not let him in. He's trying to infiltrate and subvert, man. Everybody knows.
Yeah. The Ashkenazis trying to subvert you and make you hate the Jewish religion. Good one, Myron. That makes total sense. Chat said they called it. Dude, he's literally the Ryan Gosling guy from Believer. Autonomous said he knew it too. Dude, he came back to for his mic drop moment,
it's funny when you first I didn't hit unmute when he first showed up. I said, who is this Stephen Miller? And I just Oh no,
crazy.
I didn't even realize how close that was. That's funny.
He's like, don't talk to any of our fellow white women.
If a Jew comes into a white nationalist group, you guys are cooked. FBI's looking.
What is your name? If you're literally going to stand here, if you're
Literally.
sit there and tell women that they need to get back to the kitchen, state your name.
You know what's kind of funny? Dude, it's so stupid because everybody knows his name here.
Yeah,
he's an internet famous dude. He's not hiding his name.
Dude, does she think it's 2015 where like he's gonna say his name and then he's gonna get fired from his job and everyone's gonna freak out? Like, what the fuck is she? Did she just like wake up from a coma? Like, what is going on?
Bruh, is that a beard on the side of her face?
Say your name so we can remove you from financial
State
systems
your
and we can
name.
get you fired.
Ooh.
No, it's kind of funny. She's so we got.
Hold on, what does this say? Trans are very cool. Trans? Is that what that says? Trans are very cool. Oh my gosh.
Karen, cut everybody in line.
He just called me a Karen, didn't he?
Yeah, you are a Karen. You cut everybody in line. There's a line behind you. There's a line behind you. Obviously,
he
showing the
literally
female
told me
privilege.
to-
I don't know why you're over here talking on a microphone when you should be in a kitchen somewhere.
Look at this guy wearing the Myron shirt. I always ask, who's going to buy this Cookie Monster Let 'em Bake shirt? There's a Myron fan.
Aryan, dude. That's Aryan.
Yeah, dude. It looks like a fresh and fit avid listener.
And she's like, state your name, as if like you are you that dumb where you can't like figure it out?
This is a load
Like,
of shit.
oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, what am I? Hold on.
Powerful.
Woman, what am I wrong about specifically? Karen, what am I wrong about? Yeah, they never can actually say what I'm wrong about.
Dude, best clip. I said what you're wrong about. You're shilling the Jewish God and the Jewish religion as our answer. That's this problem. Isn't that crazy? Okay, look at this. Ken O'Keefe, promoted by RT again, like he has been over so many years, who promotes Christian controlled op narratives as well, did a visit over to Iran where he's doing all this media about how America is so demonic and satanic rituals and blah, 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 right? Like we always hear every time, synagogue of where America's run by the synagogue of
We
Satan.
have condemned ourselves further to, unfortunately, Manab is not
Russia still,
an
by the way?
isolated incident. We are
obviously.
in the business of bombing and killing innocents, including children, to the tune at this point of millions. However, this is a particularly grotesque event given that it was conducted during Purim, which is a Jewish period of sacrifice. That's not a coincidence. So effectively, we carried out a satanic ritual sacrifice.
Purim is not a Satan. Jews follow Purim and they believe in Yahweh. It's a Yahweh destruction of the Persians, not a Satan destruction of the Persians. I wonder if he's saying this because I remember hearing that like Esther is the only book that doesn't mention God. So does he have a conspiracy that that's actually some satanic destruction of the Persians?
He believes in Star of Remphan shit too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's not a satanic ritual, it's a Yahweh ritual.
We carried out a satanic ritual sacrifice with Tomahawk missiles by order of the Jewish state of Israel. And ultimately, we have condemned ourselves further.
He's a flat earther too? I'm not surprised.
To an eternal fate, which is horrendous. The act itself.
Oh, wait, we have a horrendous eternal fate. We're all going to go to hell. The West is condemned.
Being denied by the Americans is an insult. It's an absolute insult to our intelligence. Who did it then? What Iran made these components and duplicated a Tomahawk missile and fired it on its own people in order to claim.
Yeah, they just label everything Judaism satanic, and then they say Judaism's not the problem. And all this is to deflect away from that he also worships that God of Yahweh, the God of Purim.
that you did it, this is an insult.
Yeah, and Khazar theory.
The fact that they could even try and pass this stuff off is genuine. Just shows how stupid their public is, or how stupid they think they are. But I'm praying that the American people finally get the memo and realize you are paying for this, America. You're paying for the slaughter of children. And I hope somehow, some way, that you understand the full magnitude of what you've done and the pain that will come from knowing that the body parts of those children, and one child, by the way, not one thing was found. That child was obliterated. There is not even anything for the parents to bury. I want you to think about that, America. If that happened to your child, how would you feel? You really need to put yourself in the position of the other. The grotesque nature of what you have paid for and has been done in your name, when it hits you, you should be crying like I did. And I have not cried like I did at Manab since my mother died, and I cried even more than when my mother died. I hope you feel that pain and shame and correct your government immediately.
Well, I agree with we're help funding it and it's killing a lot of children and it's war for Israel, but scapegoating Satan, calling it Satan when it's in the name of Yahweh, and Jews don't worship Satan, they worship Yahweh, is just such a crazy big deflection. I wanted to highlight it.
His solution is to pray really hard. You know, that's basically it. Is like basically pray really hard. And then also Jesus celebrated these holidays, dude. Like, shut up. Like, shut the fuck. Like, you're sitting here praying to a guy and you think that is part God, who basically not only in the Old Testament put these holidays in the Bible themselves, but then as a man, he then celebrated them. So shut up. You don't get to sit here and kvetch over, oh, it's a satanic holiday. It's a sacrificial holiday. That's not a coincidence. You don't get to do that. That's bullshit.
All this Satan scapegoating. Satan hands USA to Baal, Father Chad to Tucker, RT promoting. Like they always do.
Impurity. Under Satan, there's 5 demons. They're called by different names like the council, the generals, but their job is to execute the plans of Satan that he wants done in this life. The first one is Baal, who is the spirit of fornication, the spirit of impurity. In the United States, when they shot down the anti-fornication laws, plus you have all the problems with pornography and that type of thing, is freedom of expression and all that. Once they allowed that, they ceded the territory to Baal. Under Satan, there's...
So we allow pornography, so we're ran under Baal. Do they not have pornography in Russia?
There's literally pornography in the entire world, even in Muslim countries, in Saudi Arabia, in the most crazy places in the world, they have porn, guys.
But look, RT, clear. There's nobody denying that RT's whole narrative is America is evil and satanic, and to promote only Christianity and Islam as the opposition, and scapegoat everything for Baal or Moloch or Satan or demons. That's the game plan. Keeping it kosher on the Judeo paradigm. And then now look, here's the new AI image of what looks like Jesus destroying the Statue of Liberty. Is that what this is? As if like trad cat true Christianity Russia is going to destroy evil pagan Rome or something. Although this isn't an American statue. Isn't this Brazil? This big Jesus?
Yeah, it's the statue over Rio de Janeiro.
So this is America, Statue of Liberty hitting Brazil, or let's see. Christianity is going to destroy America if we don't wake up from to the Jesus question.
It's the Brazilification of the planet. This is it right here.
Yeah. Jesus destroying Edom. The Messiah destroying the symbol of Edom in New York. How about that? Right? One front, one fight from Iranian AI propaganda. Isn't that crazy? All right. Now let's do... We can bust this one out quick, too. Huckabee. Is this at Yeshiva? No. Yeshiva University posted it with their watermark. I thought this was at I don't know where this is at.
World representing only 0.
It is Yeshiva University. Of course, they'd have Huckabee go speak, do their keynote speech.
I want you to know I'm not a Zionist because I'm Jewish. I'm a Zionist and an unapologetic one because I believe the Bible. And because I recognize that Jews around the world, representing only 0.2% of the world's population, have created outsized impact on the world. And unfortunately, there are people who hate you for that. But I've determined that they really, more than they hate you, they hate the God who chose you 3,800 years ago as his people and gave you a place called Israel and gave you a purpose which was to present the law.
Yeah, I don't believe in the God choosing them. So that makes you an evil Amalek anti-Semite, persona non grata in our world.
Well, there's no version of the story that is like a divorce from that either. It's very important to understand. The people, the land, and the God are all baked into some sort of, basically, like, if you want to think of it as like the Trinity in Christianity, you can. You can't separate those parts. They're all together. It's one thing. The relationship between those people, that land, and that God. You can't. So just saying like, oh well, I believe in God, but I don't believe in I don't like any of the Jew stuff. Well, you can't remove those things. The entire story and narrative and purpose of that God is linked to those people and to that land.
And notice how both Huckabee and Myron have the same hostility to people that hate the God of the Jewish covenant, right? Same hostility for people that reject Yahweh and his Abrahamic covenant with the Jews.
His people and hate you. They hate the God who chose you 3,800 years ago as his people and gave.
So if you oppose their chosen status, you become the enemy, basically. If you acknowledge it, you become a Noahide. If you deny it, you're an enemy, you're in the way. That's the way they have the paradigm set up.
Gave you a place called Israel and gave you a purpose which was to present the law and the light to all the world. You being faithful to that task is not simply something that you should do. It is something that you must do. For there's no one else to whom
imagine
the creator of the
imagine
universe
that
has given
like
such a mission.
there was like a black there's like a black guy or something up there and being like, white people, you guys need to do your thing and be the best white people ever. We need you to go out there and do science, and we need you to conquer the world and do blah, blah, blah. And like, that's what these Jews are in that stadium watching right now, is some non-Jew up there glazing them. And like, oh, it's so funny. It's so ridiculous. And we've been doing this for 2,000 years, or, how, depending on where you're at, how long it's been. And like, then we wonder why things are the way they are, where Jews are like disproportionately like in places of power, and they have their own insular cliques, and they're all gassed up on ego. Like, oh, I wonder why there's an egotistical elite class ruling us. Could it be that sort of rhetoric that he was just doing has been basically our mindset for this whole time? We're sitting there gassing them up. You were chosen to do this thing, and you're gonna do it amazing. You're gonna do the best version ever. Like, that's what he's doing.
Wow, look at this. Breaking news. Rubio admits Israel has nukes.
State Department. 30 of us wrote to you and to the State Department asking our government for an answer, an assessment about a foreign nation's nuclear capabilities. In your opening statement, you referred to India and Pakistan as nuclear nations. We've also spoken in different sessions, both in closed and open sessions, as a U.S. Senator, former U.S. Senator, about the nuclear capabilities of other nations. Iran, China, Russia, France, the UK, both adversaries and allies. And so I wanted to ask you the question today, will you tell us, the Congress and the American people, whether Israel in fact possesses nuclear weapons?
That's a question that they've never acknowledged to have a nuclear program. People can have, as in open source and other reporting, suspicions about what they possess. If we're speaking frankly, I think most of the world assesses that they do, but they've never acknowledged that publicly, and as a feature of our foreign policy for a variety of reasons, we don't discuss it in that way either.
Well, 30 of us.
So they're lying, and we're gonna lie along with them, basically. All right, tell us about this one. But yeah, go ahead.
Hold on, do you remember who was it? That leaked this a couple weeks ago. Remember who was it? The advisor, was it Lutnick? Yeah, it was Lutnick. Remember, he was on that interview and he said it in public. He said, "Oh, and Israel has nukes," and like the administration hasn't, no administration has confirmed that or said that publicly before. So he said that a couple weeks ago, and now they're doing this, right? So it is pretty interesting that this topic. If I was the Democrats, for example, like this is like topic that they can just keep bringing up and forcing the contradiction to show in front, or the hypocrisy to show in front of everybody.
So introduce this guy to us. These clips you clipped up.
Yeah,
here.
so I would say this is like a philosophy type of podcast. This guy is this Jonathan B, I guess his name is. He's like some philosopher podcast. I don't know I don't know if he's gay or not. I don't think he is. I think he's straight. And then the other guy is he like writes these books about religion and comparative religion and religious experiences that he has and things like that. And he was training to basically like be like in a seminary, training to be a monk. And he essentially found that like he wasn't gay enough to be a monk. I mean, that's like the best way I can describe it. So he's essentially, I thought when I was getting the clips for this, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. The E-Crusader is going to be called gay the whole time, and it's going to make them look super gay. It's going to be fun to dunk on them. But actually, I found the interview the whole time like really interesting, and I think there's a lot to what he's saying. Where in one of the clips he'll talk about it, where like there's like something to this link between like inceldom and like religiosity, like very like overzealous religiosity, and it's like it has to do with shame and guilt and all these other types of ideas, and like I think we're kind of seeing that play out in our politics, I guess, what I would say about it. But yeah, so I don't know, it's like he's basically like talking about how one important thing that he kind of talks about that I just want to make sure everyone understands is that he is not suggesting that like the people who are like, maybe you say closeted gay, that they're like all like, participating in like background orgies and like doing this all the time, and like they're actually doing the act. What he's saying is that most of the time it is a subconscious thing that the person doesn't even realize about, that they're basically having like a same-sex attraction, like, or like maybe even a love affair, you might say, with God. Right. So anytime like a male person is having like a love affair or loving relationship with like even an imaginary friend like God, who's also a male, like there is something to that is gay, essentially.
Yeah, they're homoerotic for Jesus and his suffering.
Yeah.
His torture.
Yeah, he's basically trying to speak to that and the underlying psychology behind it. I found it really interesting, like I said.
All right, well, let's see it.
Your homoerotic Jesus sounded ridiculous until I read the Bible in the actual Greek.
In the Orthodox religions, there's a preference for flamboyant homosexuality among men if it's not acted on. The dean of the seminary, he starts out and he says, "Gentlemen, this is a Catholic seminary. This is not a gay bar."
You were not gay enough to be a Catholic monk.
I wasn't gay at all.
Do you see any homoerotic patterns in traditional Islam? My guest, Rice University professor Jeff Kripal, is going to argue for a homoerotic reading of religion. That there is a special connection, not just between sex and divinity, but specifically homosexuality and divinity. In fact, Jeff's claim is that in most religions, it is sublimated homosexuality that is orthodox and encouraged, whereas active heterosexuality becomes marginalized. In the Christian context, Jeff not only believes that most of Christian monasticism must be explained as sublimated homosexuality, but also that Jesus himself was queer. Now I know, this is a deeply scandalous claim, so let me just emphasize that, and this is true for all of my interviews, but especially for this one.
Wait a second, hold on, let's hear that one more time.
Views homosexuality, but also that Jesus himself was queer.
Wow.
It's the I mean, he'll get into some of the verses.
It's a little bitch.
I agree to some extent here, and I would say like that was part of the character that made it into the Gospels, guys. We know that it was part of the character in like apocryphal texts and like Gnostic texts, is like Jesus doing like weird things with his homies. Okay, I guess is the best way I could describe it. However, it made it into the Gospels, and I think it's John. He puts his head on the chest of the beloved disciple. Like, in what context could you possibly? In what context are you putting your head on the chest of your homies, and it's not gay? Did he say no homo first? Because they must have left that part out of the Bible. I didn't hear any no homo. Maybe it was left in the original Greek. No homo.
Here, this is what I was trying to do a second ago.
Sexuality, but also that Jesus himself was queer.
Wow.
Jesus Christ! Now I know this is a deeply scandalous claim, so let me just emphasize that, and this is true for all of my interviews, but especially for this one, my guest views are not my views, okay? I can't be both a libertarian capitalist like Joe Lonsdale and a democratic socialist like Axel Honneth. I can't be both a Catholic like Dave O'Connor and an atheist like Brian Leiter. I don't invite guests on because I fully endorse their views, but because they have something revelatory and illuminating to teach us. And what I think is revelatory in this interview are two unintuitive connections between, number one, the erotic and the divine, that sex and divinity, sex and God are somehow deeply intertwined, and number two, between homosexuality and inspiration. If you've ever wondered why homosexuals are so disproportionately represented in positions of creativity and power, be it art, media, finance, religion, technology, then Kripal's theory will begin to give you an answer.
Gays have like a eccentric superpower. That's what it sounds like he was saying there. So we're going to have to sit down and ask Jesus the question in this interview.
All right, man, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Are you a fag?
All right.
That's pretty funny.
If you, I'm going to play
There's
this
something
one.
to that creative thing, right? Like, I think everyone kind of knows. None of you guys know.
No homo. No homo.
I think everybody kind of understands what understands that inherently, right? Like, there is something about like the rebellious or transgressive person, and like homosexuals are disproportionate like that, who are like creators of art. Like, we don't have to be gay to like just accept that, or like acknowledge that that's like a reality. That something's there is something to what they're saying there. It does seem to be
real into art. Why do you think the cathedral is so decorated?
Well, Moses had a lisp, so maybe this just goes all the way back to like a lispy cult of lispy Jews, just doing some art for the goyams.
Let's have Jesus' abs a little more ripped on the cross.
Right. Well, let's talk about a few episodes, like the beloved.
Let's put some more little children with Jesus in the sculpture.
One is the young man in the garden, and the other one is the Passover meal with the water pitcher. Tell us your reading of those episodes.
I mean, it's really Morton Smith who makes this passage, I think it's in the Gospel of Mark, famous about the young man in the garden of Gethsemane.
No, it's Almond Hillman made that famous.
You're stealing from Almond Hillman.
You're stealing from Almond Hillman. Yeah, it's Almond Hillman's whole shtick.
The night before Jesus is crucified. And he basically just has a cloth on, and he's alone with Jesus. And there's this whole thing about the kingdom of heaven and how you initiate someone into it, and whether the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God is same sex or what this mystery is. And Smith does a whole reading of this.
This explains why Arthur Quan Lee is such a good painter, always painting pictures of Jesus.
Never did I picture myself here listening to this. This is wild.
Here, last week it's Christ brain. This week it's queer Jesus. Right? Arthur Quan Lee in your copes about Jewish Jesus and paintings of Jesus, gay, homoerotic.
Very gay.
Yeah.
That I certainly cannot, just sitting here, just because I don't have the text. And but I mean, there's so many passages like that.
Right.
Hold on, real quick. I just want to address this because we get it all the time. We should always do it whenever it comes up. If you guys think that like Almond Hillman's correct, like I don't think he is. I've examined a lot of his work. I don't think he is. But just to like put it in perspective, that like trope of the young man like running across or running out of the room or running across the scene, it's like a trope from like Greek literature.
13.
Oh, sorry.
The word used is mastois, a milk-producing breast, as opposed to stethos.
That sounds like some Amon Hillman stuff. Okay, keep going. Thank you, Birchbone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the him running out of the garden with like just like a cloth on thing, it's sort of like an old trope in Greek literature of like ending a scene or ending the climax to a scene or something like that, or like basically showing like, oh, and here it is, like the end of the story is coming, or like the big moment of the story is coming. Kip Davis and a couple other scholars have done like a lot of debunking on Neil's channel and on Myth Vision on Derek's channel that like goes over this, debunking Amon Hillman, and they go into this like in the Garden of Gethsemane thing, and I am convinced by their arguments there. They show other literature where this like trope of the young man with the cloth on is like running across the stage, if you will, to like signify something in the story. So like so perhaps there is some sort of like gay undertones or currents to it, but I don't think that it's like secretly signaling that Jesus was like a child trafficker or drug trafficker or anything like that. That's what I would say.
I did a thread debunking Amon Hillman's theory about Jesus being a pedophile doing drugs in the garden, and I tell what this myth is symbolically actually saying, and it's not historical. That's what bothers me about Amon Hillman is he pretends like this is like the real Jesus, the real historical Jesus was a secret pedo, and it's all a myth, dude. But I'll let them play it first or talk about it first, and then I'll do the little debunk.
Flesh and liquids.
Well, you have the eating the flesh and drinking the blood passages that are meant to offend and meant to transgress, and you have this preference for celibacy and this teaching of transgression. But what really tripped me, Jonathan, was living again in this seminary community and watching these men relate.
I see.
That was really what tripped it for me.
Watching the men at the seminary relate reminds me of Fuentes defending his insuldom because the Bible says there's eunuchs for God.
Well, not just that, but think about how crazy this is. The seminary itself of the Catholic Church is gay as fuck. Like, this is a well-known thing for my whole lifetime. Before I was even into these ideas, I knew that there was like this rumor or culture that's like separated from the Catholic priest thing. I'm talking about the people at the Catholic seminaries. This is like a well-known cultural thing that a lot of the men are like into looking nice and pretty and being well-spoken, and they're like kind of like sitting around contemplating Jesus all day, and it's very gay coded. Like, that's been something I've known about for as long as I can remember.
In this seminary community and watching these men relate.
I see.
That was really what tripped it for me. It's like they clearly saw Jesus as a figure whom they could love. And I mean love. And I couldn't. I couldn't love him. And that was the question.
They're like, I have a personal relationship with Jesus. Jesus is my rock. I'm the bride of Jesus. This is gay. This is all like a gay homoerotic, like imaginary friend that you're like in a partner relationship with.
Paul is almost explicit about it being that too. It's not like a secret hidden code. It's the explicit message for the peasants to be like that.
Yeah, these people, they get drunk, they do drugs, they jerk off, they have sex, and then they pray to Jesus.
Liam Jarrett sent $5 on Rumble. Are you okay about you and Big Tech's take on Hyde's performance on Alex Jones?
Are you okay about am I okay about my take on our commentary on HT with Jones? I'm not sure what you're saying there, Amalek, or Liam. Am I okay? I don't know what you mean.
An autobiographical.
But, Jack Stone says, Jesus is my rock. Hard. That's good. You can say something?
No, we're going to keep playing.
Okay.
He'll say something about it soon.
Kind of question, but it was also an observation. And so when I read the gospel passages and read the queer theory about Jesus and Paul in the New Testament, it made total sense to me. It just made total sense because of this experience.
Maybe another way to put it is you were seeing how these biblical comments that may pass someone completely unnoticed, they were reflective of the behavior of your colleagues, right? And
absolutely.
you were like,
but this is the new comparativism. I was using my contemporary experience to read back into the biblical text, and the biblical texts don't have this language of sexual orientation. Obviously, that's ours. So they're going to experience things and code things religiously. And so I don't want to read our moral concerns back into these ancient texts, but I do want to say that these ancient texts are expressing a different kind of orientation. And by orientation, I don't just mean sexual orientation, I mean spiritual orientation as well.
Right. How do you make sense of Paul actually wrote against homosexuality, right?
Well, of course. I mean,
self-loathing.
There is this, but again, homosexuality that's acted on is problematic because it, in the terms of the Torah, it doesn't lead to inheritance. It doesn't lead.
See, that's like an incel.
To
right? Like, how else would you describe it other than ancient incels?
For sure. Yeah, that's who the church fathers and the monks and the priests are. They're saving themselves for Jesus. Yeah, I need the Cartman clip where he says, "Gotta get down on my knees and start pleasing Jesus."
Well, of course. I mean,
it's self-loathing.
There is this, but again, homosexuality that's acted on is problematic because it, in the terms of the Torah, it doesn't lead to inheritance. It doesn't lead to prodigy that you can recognize as your own. It's not reproductive.
Right. Your thesis is not that they had homosexual sex. Your thesis is that their energy is homoerotic.
Yeah, and that it's sublimated.
Right, I see.
So I'm not making an argument about sexual practice. I'm making an argument about how someone's oriented.
Got it, I see.
It's interesting because that's how they would have thought about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what the earliest church. So many
closet gays praying the gay away.
Yeah, the church was led by, like, straight up, like, if you go back in the earliest layers of the history of, like, who we have for the church stuff, and I'm not talking about, like, the mythical layer, like, if you just, like, move that away, the early Christians were the wives of soldiers, right? A lot of women and effeminate men. The pagans are writing about this in those early sources, talking about Christians worshiping a crucified man, and that the men who follow it are effeminate. And that the women.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Oh, sorry.
Shekel challenge.
Thank you, Anne. You're the best. Sorry, keep going.
So, yeah, so like that's it was like the husband or the wives of soldiers, right? Like their husbands were like writing to their superior officers and writing to their kings and their public officials and complaining about Christians. We have these writings where they're complaining and saying that it's like these effeminate charlatan men shouldn't be allowed to like convince our women of this stupid thing, this superstitious thing, and they're talking about Christianity. It's so goofy.
They go. It's like the seminaries become these where these monks go, monasteries. They become like gay rehab centers where everybody's just in a collective brotherhood worshiping married to Jesus, and they go there to pray the gay away. Like Milo converting his Remember we covered there was a story a couple days ago where some guy that used to run a gay deconversion ministry got busted like sexting 14-year-old boy in a sting.
Yeah, he's doing deconversion therapy. Yeah, and he got You should bring up. Are you trying to watch the rest of those clips for that thing?
Yeah. Those are the only two I had, I think.
Oh, I sent them to you in DM, all 4 of them.
Just right now?
No, before.
You mean through Zoom?
No, in your reply. Oh, here, I'll bring them up in your DMs. But hold on, bring up that furry. If you scroll up, there's that furry interview. It's only a minute long. Bring that up while I bring this up for you. Yeah. Basil said that guy was a Jew too. By the way, earlier
he called it. Too. He was watching or something.
He goes, the bald guy is a Michelin or something.
Right here, he called it. Okay, this is serious. Is this Michael Knowles?
Yeah, and he interviewed a Christian furry, and there's dude. Okay, I retweeted this, like making fun of it, and now my timeline is nothing but Christian furries, guys. Do not retweet this tweet. Do not retweet this tweet. I highly recommend not retweeting this tweet. My whole timeline today has been nothing but Christian furries, and it's fucking crazy. And I would be retweeting, making fun of them more, but then I don't want my literally forever to be my timeline to be Christian furries. So.
Okay. And I got the clips.
If you retweet it. Okay, you got it.
It looks like they have a bunch of historical Jesus.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. All right. Christian furry. All right, let's go.
You would be surprised.
Really? No.
There are conservatives. There are Christian furries. Lots of Christian furries, actually.
Really?
I actually know a few.
Jesuit.
Yeah, genuine Christian furries. Yeah.
No, I said Jesuit.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry.
That's a point for that's a cheap shot. Christian furries.
Yeah.
I like the background, the moon. You know, with my new background here, my new library mog. I almost got one that looked like Michael Knowles with a city lights and then a moon. Still might.
I guess there's a meme that goes around. We were
Yeah.
talking about confession earlier, which is like, guy will go in.
Campfire talk.
I'll say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Father, 5 times this week, I peeled an avocado and smashed it into my face until the goop ran down my suit jacket. And the priest will say, well, that's weird, but it's not a sin. You know, it's definitely weird, but you actually don't have to confess that.
Yeah.
And I guess what you're describing as the furrydom probably falls into that category, other than maybe it's like a waste of time in some way. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe people balance their life in a way that it works.
Chat says this is the Mogwarts shot. Mogwarts library. You guys are hilarious, dude.
How funny is this though? So it's theater kid Michael Knowles interviewing a fucking Christian furry. He's like, yeah, there's tons of us Christian furries. Dude, so I saw in some of these furries, they're talking about how it's a majority Christian phenomenon. Think about how crazy, if that, I don't know if it's true.
Teletubbies, dude. They brainwashed all the kids with the Teletubby Christian show.
Can you imagine?
Good theory. I think it's a good theory.
That a majority of furry fandom is actually Christianity and a bunch of Christians doing that. If that's
what
true.
About anime too? I see all these
I do
online are really into anime.
Yeah, the furry thing though, if that's true, we gotta blow the whistle on that.
Okay, hold on. All right, this is even better. All right, Pantiri through me says, "This is you guys. Welcome to the." Where is it? Shoot, I lost it. Oh, dude, I'm totally messing up my joke. Oh, welcome to the library of AdamAndrea. That's good. Library of AdamAndrea. Perfect. All right,
you got a lot of Jewish books in there, huh?
All Jewish.
In summary, you were
K. Donzo.
Hanzo.
I ain't gay no more. I have been delivered. The Bride of Christ imagery is so weird.
I've been delivered. All right, the first one. Let's go.
So let me give you a quote, an autobiographical quote from one of your books. Catholicism is homoerotically structured. As an active heterosexual male, I do not and cannot fit into its present symbolic and institutional system.
Me neither.
In summary,
same, dude.
Same. Dude, this is devastating for the Groyper community right now. Let's be honest. Devastating.
I kind of like that I got to tweet this out for them all to see if they saw.
Yeah.
Just to have some self-reflection for some of them. And it's not even all of them. It's just like there's this weird subset of them that it's like all that is like this. I know some of, like, I wouldn't say all of them are like this, but there is a sub faction of them that are. So, and they're like the most Christian faction too, by the way.
In summary, you were not gay enough to be a Catholic monk.
I wasn't gay at all. I became deeply religious around puberty, and by deeply religious, I mean uber religious. I mean, Jonathan, you wouldn't have liked me. I mean, not that you like me now, but
around puberty,
really liked me when I was 12.
He went through puberty. Instead of being obsessed with girls, he got obsessed with Jesus.
13, and
like even less.
Yeah, even less. I was super religious, super pious, and I was deeply anorexic. And we didn't even have a word for it. The word anorexia didn't even exist at that point. And I wasn't anorexic in the psychiatric sense. It wasn't a symptom. It was all translated into asceticism, into celibacy, into fasting. I really thought of it as fasting. I wanted to be holy.
Notice that fasting is part of this too. I always point this out whenever it's brought up. It's so important to understand. Fasting, we know the psychological operation and process that happens in your brain.
Yeah, you lose testosterone.
Well, not just that. Yeah, that's for sure. But I just mean like it causes people to I mean, saying like hallucinate, like I'm not trying to say like it's a DMT trip or it's a mushroom trip or anything like that. But that is a state of fasting that does cause people to have these types of experiences and things like that. And it's just your brain's chemistry, like dealing with the lack of calorie intake and things like that, guys. Like I don't know, like it's not a truly divine experience, I guess you could say. And that is like so many times in the CQ spaces I was talking to people like, okay, well, why are you Christian? And I would say like probably 1/3 of the time, maybe a little bit more, somebody would say something like, well, I was smoking weed and fasting, and then I saw, then the story comes, right? And what's crazy about that is this isn't just like a thing in Christianity. This is across all religious traditions in the world has noticed this. The Japanese Buddhists, Chinese Buddhists, like the Hindus have stuff about this. The Greeks had stuff about this. The Egyptians wrote stuff about every religious tradition that is known to man has always understood that like there's like a link between fasting and what you could call like a quote unquote religious experience.
Do you want to stop your ear ringing in a week?
Sorry.
Religious experience.
All right.
Food.
Oh, the fasting also, what immediately came to mind is the clips of Nick recently. Like, he's like, I was getting fat and I went on a fast. I just stopped eating. And then there was those conspiracies that he's trying to normalize like food shortages and low calorie intake for the UN or something. But
that's funny. I didn't even think about that.
He's like, oh, I got to get my twink body back and be 125 pounds or something and go on a fast.
Well, I do fasting too, so I don't want to talk.
Yeah,
shit,
no, I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm sorry. That's just the first thing that popped in my head when I heard this again. I already had groypers on the mind. All right.
Fasting. I really thought of it as fasting. I wanted to be holy. I wanted to be a saint.
And food was problematic.
Food was super problematic because my tradition said that if you fast and if you perform ascetic practices and if you're celibate, then you can be holy. If you can't do these things, you cannot be holy. And so I renounced the body. I renounced food. Food, looking back on it, was definitely a way to push down my sexuality. I mean, this was puberty. And this is Jeff talking at 63 now, not Jeff talking at 13. If you would ask me at 13, Jeff, what are you doing? I would say, I'm trying to be holy. I am being holy. I'm fasting. But if you ask me now, I was trying basically to push back growing up and being sexual. And so that continued for.
See, so he's going through puberty. You're scared of girls, awkward around girls, can't get a girl, face covered in acne. You're awkward, right? And then instead of like chasing after girls, you go, oh, I'm being holy. I'm being celibate. I'm married to Jesus. I'm saving myself for Jesus, right? It gives you like an excuse, a cop out from like, finding a young mate as fast as possible, right?
Yeah, and I think there's always been people like this in societies and in cultures, and the question really isn't like, do they exist or do they not exist? It's like, what do you do about this, or how do you deal with it, kind of thing.
Yep.
And like it seems to be like the Catholic way of dealing with it is like, well, we're actually going to like hype these people up and put them in places of learning, and like we're going to focus all of our entire like economy and culture and civilization is going to be focused around feeding those people, keeping them comfortable so that they can like read and study and create beautiful art and cathedrals as like testaments to the civilization. Instead of like enriching your own people and using your resources for themselves, you're like kind of has this weird. I mean, China had this problem where they like had too much power in the court eunuchs and things like that, right? And it's almost like that's kind of a weird way what happened with the Catholic Church and why it like rose to power and fell was like a European version of, I mean, eunuchism essentially, right? Like that's how you can, basically describe it. And we see this stuff not just in the early churches with castration and then the Nicene Creed, like the Nicene Council banning the castration, and this was like an issue leading up all the way to the Crusades, at least.
7, 8 years, and I entered a seminary, and I wanted to be a monk, and the monks were getting really worried about me because I was essentially dying. I was essentially just wasting away, and the monks saw this, and they were smart as all get out, and they could see this, easily, I think, and so they asked me to see one of their own monks who was a psychoanalyst. And the psychoanalyst introduced me to Freud and into psychoanalysis. And so I learned through psychoanalysis that people's religious behavior.
Christian monk goes to Freud based.
Often encode or hide other kinds of drives and other kinds of instincts. And so I learned to read my own fasting behavior in sexual terms, as it were. And then I started to see it everywhere else in my colleagues. I'm like, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. They're also fighting back. And
the monk was like, the Bible can't fix this. Gotta go read some Freud.
He really was like, y'all niggas gay. Like, that's what he was. He was just like, he was like, I'm going to be a monk. And then he realized like, wow, this is way too gay for me. I'm actually not like gay like this.
He's like, Freud was right about all you gay incel Christians. Sexually repressed, abused Christian, homoerotic Jesus Christians.
Isn't it interesting how it did turn them into like this like weird like political force or political class even that ruled over Europe, ruled over our people during the darkest times. And now how weird is it that in the future we have like basically like a very similar faction of militant incels essentially who are basically like hearkening back to that as a golden age, right? When we're arguing with these people, they treat the dark ages like it's a fucking golden age. You know what I mean? It's just very interesting, and because I don't think any of these people are conscious of what's going on.
Jesus was an incel.
Oh,
a volcel.
I think that's a little bit more complicated actually, because I think that I think the Mary Magdalene lover story was one of the earliest gospels, and I think there's good evidence that it was one of the most popular. So I think if you were to like pick any random Christian in the first century, that they wouldn't think Jesus is an incel. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I understand that the canon version is. I get that. I understand that. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I think the earliest layers were basically like doing this. I guess, I mean, I'll put like the easiest way I could put it is like this divine sort of archetype blending between the divine feminine and the idea of the monad and the logos. It was like a blending of all these things. It was like the monad and the Sophia and are getting blended with like this divine feminine will, basically. I think that there was a huge current of Christians that were doing this in the earliest layers, and to be honest, like that was the most Jewish time at the church too, right? So that's kind of this like weird dichotomy where it was like ethnically Jewish Christians in the earliest versions of the church who were still like Torah observant, but they were so Hellenized that they were into this like sort of mixing of the religious concepts and the gendered influences.
All right.
Thing was, I was definitely in this religious community, and I was seeing that there was a kind of sublimated but very flamboyant homosexuality in the religious community, and then there was this really awful.
Think Pine Sap, think Elijah Schaefer, think Nick.
Anti-homosexual reading that was coming from the official church. And so I saw this tension or this conflict between this external condemnation of homosexuality and this sort of playful, flamboyant, but coded homosexuality. And
yeah, good point too. They also do that. They're obsessed with calling everything gay and everybody's gay, and their big issue is gays and trans and stuff. And some of that resentment is just like internal harboring, hate, self-loathing, right? Good. Another good point.
I was really struck by that.
I mean, I am called gay on the internet so many times a day. And it is called gay in the gayest possible way you could imagine. It's like, you like to, and then they just insert the most graphic, disgusting, like pornographic homosexual thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, they're doing projecting copes. Like they're the ones that are closet gay and praying the gay away with Jesus. They're the ones that are spiritual Jew and worship the Jewish Messiah. So they call us gay Jews.
Yeah, they should just
total projection.
Gay. They should just be gay. Like I don't know. Like it would be way healthier. Like, I don't know.
So the causality is because of your own psychoanalysis and you yourself reading.
Did we just get them all together and just to make?
Think Owen Benjamin. Yeah, think Owen Benjamin.
What we really should do is we should put them all in like their own, like maybe the Catholics were right. You put them all in a monastery and then you just like have them creating like sick Hitler edits and stuff like that. And like, we'll just, we'll win that way.
So the causality is because of your own psychoanalysis and you yourself reading how sublimated your own heterosexual sublimated sexual desires comes out in food, or more specifically not eating food. You learn to read how your other colleagues homosexual drives were being sublimated.
Right.
And how were they being sublimated? Were they acted on, or were they?
I don't think in general they were acted on. I think they were very much trying to be and were celibate. But some of the particularly seminarians, not so much.
And that's what they say too. They'll say like, you're not gay if you don't act on the gay impulses.
Well, that's what they say about. I mean, like the William question is a complicated one, and I hope he comes back to Twitter at some point. I guess he has an alt now, but it's just not the same. But like, think about.
I sent $20 on Rumble. Escape the Gabrahamic Matrix.
Yeah, Gabrahamic Matrix.
Think about who is the hardest on William. Who's the hardest people on William? On Twitter. It's the extreme Christians. Meanwhile, what is he? He's like somebody who, to them and from their worldview, had like a degenerate lifestyle, found Jesus, literally like converted. He's catechized in the Orthodox Church, right? He's been baptized, right? He has apparently a girlfriend, I guess. I don't know the details there. I'm not trying to dox or anything like that. I just apparently he has a girlfriend, right? So like, and then what is he doing? He's like trying to use his story as a way of like warning others not to be degenerate, and he's making content about their favorite political issue.
Dirt Gang Arizona.
Thank you, Dirt Gang.
Just got here. I'll have to catch the replay. I see a lot of hate for Amalek in the chat, but I think he adds a lot to the show. You guys are both great. Keep it up.
Thank you, Dirt Gang. Yeah, dude. Amalek, are you looking at the chat? What's his name? Liam. Liam is crashing out on you.
What is he crashing on me for?
He says you're ruining the show.
Hell yeah, very nice.
Tell him more, Liam. Get it all out.
Yeah, I do like that.
It was joyful. It was playful. It was positive.
Liam has beef.
What's an example of
he's ready
Catholic
to fight
monasticism as sublimated homosexuality?
Every we had.
Thank you, Loki.
Redneck Mullet sent $5 on Rumble. Wednesday shekels.
Hail Wotan Day. Wotan Day.
Catholic monasticism as sublimated homosexuality.
Every we had 4 parties a year sponsored by one of the classes, and there was always some kind of cross-dressing going on, and there was always jokes about vacuum cleaner.
Oh wait, hold on. That's what I was saying. I was saying like, notice how who's attacking William. Like it's all these like super Christian people, and literally he's doing what they want. And like, what do they say to gay people? They say, "Stop being gay, find God,
become Christian." Yeah,
become Christian, find a girlfriend.
He did that, and they're never letting him. They're not accepting it.
Yeah. They have zero empathy for him. They have zero forgiveness. Like I'm not trying to be cheesy and like, what would Jesus do? But truly, what would Jesus do in this situation? William is like more of a Christian than basically 99% of the e-Crusaders on Twitter, and they all loathe him for that right there. That's what's going on. They are like jealous because he basically was like he's like open about his past and open about who he is. I would even say, I think that there is like a level maybe grifting or self-interest that he has.
Sent $5 on Rumble. Amalek,
but yeah, if he like. I think that there is like a level of those things, but like I don't think that is like even close to like the main reason that he's attacked. It's because of this whole former degenerate thing, and because all these seething Christian incels hate him for doing what they can't, which is like growing up and being open about who you are, what you are.
Yep.
It was obvious. And I remember one day
he says they're doing the monks, the priest at their priest parties are doing cross-dressing.
Is jokes about vacuum cleaner hoses, and I mean it was coded, but it was obvious. And I remember one day after one of these parties, the whole seminary was called in, and the dean of the seminary, he starts out and he says, "Gentlemen, this is a Catholic seminary. This is not a gay bar." And that was the opening. And then he just laid into us, about this inappropriate behavior that had happened the night before. And I was just, I was a kid. I was just listening to this and watching this. And the other story I tell is these high school groups would come.
I never look at the chat, but for the record, Amalek is a great guest.
Never look at the chat, huh? You're missing out. I look at the chat. Love the chat.
Through.
It's okay.
And there were always these young high school.
He can hoist his sins upon me.
And they would ooh and ah over the guys.
Okay, Liam says just suck less, Amalek. Be less sucky. He'll work on that. Thanks, Liam.
In the seminary, because these were young men who were very attractive, and they had given up sex to pursue God, as it were. And They would just.
How interesting is that? So
Evan Kilgore might be another one of these.
Oh yeah, how interesting is this? He talks about the phenomenon of like women coming to see the men at the seminary and oogling them. I can imagine in the ancient world, the church fathers or church leaders or the priests, the leaders, the men of the community having this same phenomenon going on. A lot of the men are off to war. A lot of the men aren't at home. They're doing other things. And what's happening is it's the housewife that becomes Christian. That's how Christianity initially started spreading, and it's the housewife being led by men like that. So you can see how this kind of trope of that we have today of like, you know, the Joel Webben pastor, you know what I mean? The pastor who sleeps with his flock. That's not like an accidental cliche. That's built into the earliest layers of the church's story on how it spread.
Mm-hmm. True.
Odd, as it were, and they would just laugh, you know, when the girls were gone. Like they no more wanted women than a man on the moon. You know, I mean, there was no renunciation, there was no giving up sex for God kind of thing going on. So I saw this. I saw the external reading of the tradition, which was very much giving up sex for God, and the internal kind of joyful same-sex sublimation going on.
Well, you say it's joyful, but surely they must have felt quite guilty, which is why you're so against the anti-homosexuality, right?
It was conflicted. It was definitely conflicted because of this conflict in the church, that there was this external bashing of homosexuality, and then there was this internal affirmation of it. And so, for example, there were 3 attempted suicides while I was in the seminary. I suspect it had something to do with this.
Think about how crazy it is.
Liam Jarrett sent $10 on Rumble. I was being
That's okay,
silly.
Liam.
Sorry.
How
Got
crazy
out.
is that?
Love
so
you
they
all.
had 3 suicides while he was in 3 suspected suicides because of homosexuality, he says. Now, if that story is true or not, who knows? But that idea is obviously true, right? And isn't it interesting how well, he'll go into another. I'll bring this up when he gets into it here.
Okay, this one's on historical Jesus debate.
So we're going to, and first I want to make sense of what
a little
kind
bit.
of
It
claim
doesn't
you're
really
gonna make. So
touch
I'm
on
gonna
it
give you a
too
quote from
much.
your
He
book.
just talks about
The
it.
goal of this apocryphon is not yet another historical Jesus. What I'm after here resembles more a kind of historical koan, a nonsensical riddle Zen masters use to cognitively shock or shut down their students into sudden bursts of enlightenment, an openly heretical Jesus who can provoke new thought, self-reflection, and revelation. So we're going to talk about your homoerotic reading of Jesus and the Christian tradition.
Yeah.
But I just want to make crystal clear from the outset, this is not a historical reading, because the entoi piploi, that does seem like a historical reading, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I am making historical claims, obviously, but I'm not really participating in that historical Jesus scholarship, is probably what I'm trying to say there. I actually think Jesus was queer. I really do. But do I want to perform that in a historical Jesus seminar? No.
Right.
Because I'm not
That's not your battle.
I'm not a New Testament scholar. I'm just not.
Well, tell us about the episodes in the New Testament, like the Beloved Disciple one that I started this interview with, that kind of only or best makes sense under a homoerotic reading.
First of all, neither Jesus nor Paul were married, which is very odd. Already, you have your one.
Yeah, I thought to be a rabbi, you had to be married and have kids and have some like one of the sciences.
Yeah. So I can't remember. It's Dale Martin. I think maybe that's who he just cited. I can't remember. It's Dale Martin's work. I think is the one who they go into this and they show basically like their reconstruction of a historical Jesus and who this guy would have been. There is this argument and this debate on like how could this character doesn't even make sense historically because of what you just said.
Maxed Out Bear sent $5 on Rumble. Ha. Nothing against your chat. I'm just usually watching or listening in the background while working, multitasking, etc. High fives to everyone.
Yeah, no worries. I was just showing the chat some love, some well-deserved love. So if there's no rule they have to be married to be a priest in ancient Judaism, it's just strongly encouraged and often expected.
Yeah, it would have been weird. So his whole story is basically like in the context of an unmarried, very strange rabbi that hangs out with guys, and like that that's not just me being like insulting or inflammatory when I say it like that. I'm saying that that's the ancient context of the story. Readers who were reading that would have thought this, been like, oh, this is very strange, both from the Jewish community and the Gentile community. Both would have thought it was weird that a 33-year-old man is walking around, is doing the things in the story. That it would have been expected that he was married, essentially. Which is, again, that's why earlier I brought up the whole thing of, I think that in the earliest layers, he did have a female lover. You know what I mean? Mary Magdalene, basically.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. But non-historical. It started as metaphorical of like divine.
Oh, 100%.
Masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Right there. At least someone looking in.
At 33, nonetheless. That's what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, two young men who are not married. And, even Paul will say things like, I want everybody to be a virgin. I want everybody to be married to Christ. So he uses this gendered language, but for men being married to Christ, it's like, that's like a gay relation. That's a same-sex relation. How does that even work? But it works just fine for Paul. With Jesus,
real quick pause. Okay, so that's the thing. So everyone also remember this: the context of all these times when people talk to us and say, "Well, without Christianity, we wouldn't have the birth rates. We wouldn't have birthrights. The people don't know how to have children." Okay. The idea that the Bible itself is a pro-family book is incredibly questionable, okay? And I would just point to verses like this and things like this, where essentially like Paul's argument in favor of being married and having children is essentially like, if you can't sexually control your desires enough, well then just get married, essentially, is what he says, right? So he's basically saying like the perfect ideal form is to be celibate like him. That's what Paul's saying. However, if you can't do that because you can't control your urges enough, then yes, you should get married to another Christian, essentially, is what he says. Okay. And he says that because he's expecting the apocalypse to come within their lifetime. At least that's what he's telling the Christians that he's talking to. So think about this. If somebody today, like let's just say, I'll pick a random person, like maybe Ben Shapiro, he one day has a vision on his way to Damascus that Jesus came down and talked to him and told him he needs to change up the way, or believe in me, I believe in Jesus. And then Ben Shapiro came into like America or Europe and started preaching to people like, hey guys, stop having children because the apocalypse is coming tomorrow. It's coming in our lifetime. And also on top of that, if you can't control yourself because you just have to have sex, then I guess you can get married. Everyone today would acknowledge that is a psychological operation. So why is it that when we put this concept back into the ancient world, back into time, and we understand that like Paul did see himself having a mission for Israel aimed against Rome, that is how he saw his mission, right? And so how else can we see somebody like Paul telling our people not to have children because the apocalypse is coming, outside of him being a charlatan, outside of him being like, I mean, look, like guys, the people that we're always talking about is like, oh, they're subversive. They're trying to run psyops on us and get us to hate ourselves and not have kids anymore. That's what everyone's online complaining about. That started with Paul. Paul was doing the ancient version of that.
And Jesus, too, in Matthew says, how dreadful it will be in those days for a pregnant woman and nursing mothers. So if the apocalypse and the return of Jesus is imminent, and he says, it's not going to be good for nursing mothers and pregnant women, that people are going to be like, well, the end's coming. I'm not going to bring a kid into this world.
Dirt Gang Arizona sent $10 on Rumble. Off topic but is maxed out Bear No and Benjamin guy. No hate him, just wondering if Bearteria is running yet?
I don't know if Maxed Out Bear is still an Owen Benjamin guy. I think he was mad about when I was doing the moon landing stuff, so he probably is. But I'll answer that. Yeah, his Beartaria thing, as much as issues as I have with Owen, he holds festivals and has some campground building structure thing going on. So he has had some events at some property he bought, I'm pretty sure. All right.
He really wanted his disciples to be eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven. That was the secret kind of teaching. And the eunuch was this person who was close to the political power precisely by being non-sexual, by having the sexuality removed surgically, as it were. So there's something about, and particularly for the Catholic tradition, they receive Jesus as essentially aligning himself with celibacy and a kind of non-sexuality.
I think at some point, though, they realize in the church that having Christians have more kids is easier than converting people, because then they can indoctrinate the kids. So if you want the church to grow, then have your congregants have more kids is the best way to grow a religion.
Oh, absolutely. That's I would say by I'm trying to think of who I'll look it up. There's a certain point that happens. Hold on, I'll look it up. But you can keep playing.
Yeah. Wow, you're right. So I guess this means that Jesus isn't just fake and Jewish. Now it's fake and gay and Jewish.
And first, I want to make sense
all three.
It's not
the triple combo.
And first, I want to make sense of
3 strikes, you're out.
So let me give you a quote from your book. The goal of this apocryphon is not yet another historical Jesus. What I'm after here resembles more a kind of historical koan, a nonsensical riddle Zen masters use to cognitively shock or shut down their students into sudden bursts of enlightenment, an openly heretical Jesus who can provoke new thought, self-reflection, and revelation. So we're going to talk about your homoerotic reading of Jesus and the Christian tradition.
Yeah.
But I just want to make crystal clear from the outset, this is not a historical reading, because the entoi kiploi, that does seem like a historical reading, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I am making historical claims, obviously, but I'm not really participating in that historical Jesus scholarship. Is probably what
I think you started.
You're right. Okay, that's all I got.
So it was Justin Martyr is the one. He was basically like he started doing a lot of what you could call, I guess, like natalist type theology. Let me just make sure you got all of the ones. I think he did though. Oh no, here, this last one, the top here, I'll just send it here in here.
Okay. This guy tried to.
Oh wait, no, I guess you did get this one. Never mind. I think you got.
We got them all.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we played 4.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's see this. I haven't watched it yet, but I want to watch it. Let's see how trash this is.
Lee Strobel was an atheist investigative journalist who tried to disprove Christianity. Watch this.
This is what brought me from atheism.
Anybody that's dumb enough to believe that story, that he was an atheist journalist and just tried to get to the bottom of the truth, his investigation into the truth, read the book, go watch the movie. He goes to a bunch of apologists, basically, and gets a bunch of bad info and doesn't actually, does he read a book on mythicism? Does he go talk to people that say Jesus didn't exist? He doesn't.
I'm so sick of having people say the manuscript thing. It's like, I'm so sick of it. Like, there's 20,000 manuscripts or whatever the hell it is. I'm so sick of that argument.
Oh, there used to be an atheist and he couldn't debunk Jesus, so it must be real. You know it's real then.
To faith. 4 words that begin with the letter E. The first E stands for execution. Okay. There is no record anywhere of anyone ever surviving a full Roman crucifixion. In fact, no less of a source in the Journal of the American Medical Association, a secular, peer-reviewed, medical, scientific...
We're not claiming that he survived the crucifixion, as if that's our argument. Nobody
thinks that. Not a single person in the world thinks that. Like, oh, what happened is he was crucified and then he fell asleep and then he woke up 3 days later out of the coma. Like, nobody
that
actually
explains
thinks that.
It. Yeah,
nobody.
Muslims, besides Muslims, are the only ones that think that, basically.
It was a very early, I would say, like one of the earliest ways of saying Jesus isn't fake was basically saying that. Essentially, it was it was like people saying that the resurrection was some sort of hoax, or maybe it was something like that, where a man was severely injured, then woke up.
And his mom, he wasn't born a virgin. They don't go, oh, it's a myth based on scripture. They say, no, his mom just cheated on somebody and then lied about it. Or they'll be like, he didn't really walk on water. It was shallow next to the boat and he was walking. They have all these like little explanations.
Yeah, he's an apologist that's dealing with arguments on mythicism that are quite literally like more than 250 years old.
Okay.
Journal carried an investigation into the death of Jesus, and this was their conclusion, quote, clearly, the weight of the historical and medical evidence indicates that Jesus was dead even before the wound to his side was inflicted. Second E, early accounts. Why is that important? Because I used to think that the resurrection was a legend. I figured 100 or 200 years after the life of Jesus, legends were invented, and that's where the idea came from. Guess what? The first Christians had a creedal statement based on eyewitness accounts that summarized their convictions. And it said,
this isn't an eyewitness statement, though. 1 Corinthians, Paul never knew Jesus. He said he learned about Jesus not from any man, but from scripture and revelation. This is not a proof of a historical Jesus. Well, how did he word it there, too? Hold on.
And that's where the idea came from. Guess what? The first Christians had a creedal statement based on eyewitness accounts that summarized their convictions. And it said Jesus
based on eyewitness accounts. Paul never says, you eyewitness this. Only to people that wouldn't have been eyewitnesses. They saw it. It was portrayed to them from the scripture. Very, very sneaky. He's citing Paul for the historical Jesus when Paul didn't know a historical Jesus. And explicitly says he knows about him, like, according to the scriptures, like, because the scripture said so.
For our sins, he was buried. On the third day, he rose again, and then has the specific names of individuals and groups of people.
According to the scriptures, he cut that off. According to the scriptures, that means he knows this because it's in the scriptures.
People who encountered the resurrected Jesus, including 500 people at once. James D.G. Dunn, one of the greatest historians of our time, dated that creed, and he...
Hold on. I bet you he's a Christian. James D.G. Dunn, Christian? He was a Christian, prominent British New Testament scholar, theologian, and licensed minister. Yeah, total historian, non-biased historian here. Look at
the most respected historian. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think that people that do this and like make content like this and videos like this, I actually do think that it's a popular thing that the liberals and left get on board with this, and then like these smart, intelligent right-wingers and this like growing, right-wing critique of religion can understand, where like, dude, they should be facing the same types of maybe criminal or civil litigation persecution as people do who do like false advertising. Like the government should come in. If you made a video like this and you're falsely editing it like this and doing this shit, the government should come in and fine you, just like any false advertising would. This is false advertising for a religion that's making money and politically controlling and mind fucking people while it's lying. You should not be able to do false advertisement. It's fraud. And we all acknowledge fraud in every situation, but we're giving this like superstition a pass where we're all like, well, we wouldn't let anyone do this type of fraud in any other business situation, legally speaking. We would never, ever let anyone do this. But in religion, they get this like magical pass. No, fuck that. And not only fuck that, but society is all ready to say fuck that. This is something that people just need to put together in their heads. This is unacceptable.
Jesus,
he removed that part of the Bible, dude.
James
the part that said the
Dunn,
scripture.
One of the greatest historians of our time, dated that creed, and he says we can be entirely confident that that creed was formulated within months of the death of Jesus. That's far too quick to be a legend, and it's not the only early report we got. We got others in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. The book.
So some Christian claim that it's months after, even though there's no dates ever given. Okay, now he's saying all the Gospels and Acts are all historical eyewitness to.
Also, that creed is built out of things that predated Jesus.
It's the creed in Philippians 2. It's it's in the earliest letters and epistles. There's no historical Jesus in the epistles. There's no eyewitness testimony in the epistles. When Peter is addressing the claim that Jesus is a myth, he goes, no, I was an eyewitness of his majesty, and then cites scripture in a supernatural story of Jesus in the transfiguration on the mountain. Okay.
Really confident that that creed was formulated within months of the death of Jesus. That's far too quick to be a legend. And it's not the only early report we got. We got others in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the book of Acts, all that date back so early they were circulating during the lifetimes of Jesus' contemporaries who would have disputed the claims if it had been wrong. Third E stands for an empty tomb. Even the enemies of Jesus admitted the tomb was empty.
Why would the people promoting this myth be rejecting it if it was wrong? And also, listen real quick, the slide of tongue there.
E stands for an empty tomb. Even the enemies of Jesus admitted the tomb was empty. What the enemies of Jesus...
What, in the story? Even in the myth, the Romans admitted Jesus escaped the tomb. Well, yeah, in the myth? Why is the myth true? Because the myth says this in the story? That's what we're doing here. Talk about circular. Hold on, I missed the point, though.
So early they were circulating during the lifetimes of Jesus' contemporaries.
They were circulating during the lifetimes of Jesus' contemporaries. So if the apostles were in their 20s by the time, and Jesus died in 30, by 70 AD or after, that would be 40 years. So they would be 60. Not many people are living to be 60 in that time. And
especially poor, illiterate Galileans.
And... Right. And if the his argument that if it were wrong, they would have corrected it.
Disputed the claims if it had been wrong. Third E.
If no Jesus existed, there's no real Jesus to dispute the claims. The myth is just the myth. They're not going to dispute the myth, right? And there are disputes about the details of Jesus's life. What do you think all the apocryphal texts are? The contradictions in the gospel, even though they're copying each other. All right. No, some people did live to 60, but the chances of somebody in that ancient time living past 60 is very low.
Yeah. The fact that like, the disciples would be doing that, and then like in their elderly age, that they're like writing down or hiring somebody. So like basically like the early layers of scholarship, the way they're thinking is that these are basically like illiterate peasant folk who hire somebody who's literate to write down their eyewitness accounts. Okay, and that is not what the Gospels are at all. Absolutely.
And our argument is there was no disciples. It was only apostles that knew of the heavenly Jesus through personal revelations and scriptural exegesis. So this idea that, if it's so close that the disciples would have corrected it if it weren't true, none of that makes any sense under that premise.
Stands for an empty tomb. Even the enemies of Jesus admitted the tomb was empty. What the enemies of Jesus said was the disciples stole the body. They're conceding the tomb is empty. They're trying to explain how it got empty. Romans weren't about to steal the body. They wanted Jesus.
That's Jews telling the Jesus story, writing that detail down. There's no Roman record of them like, yep, the tomb really disappeared and that's what led to Christianity. Never.
Is dead. Religious leaders of the day weren't about to steal the body. They wanted Jesus to stay dead. The disciples weren't about to steal the body. The disciples lived lives of deprivation and suffering as a result of their proclamation that Jesus had risen. Of all human beings who've ever lived,
there was no body. That's why the earliest accounts like Paul never mentioned a tomb.
He were in a position to know for a fact whether he returned from the
just
dead.
real quick, I just want to say I'm citing scholarship that goes over this stuff. As far as the life expectancy goes, I've read this argument. It's gone over multiple times. Paula Fredrickson goes in depth in this, how the average life expectancy of a Judean peasant, like she goes over the science in her book. I forget the early Christians that were Jews, or when the Christians were Jews. She explains that the average life expectancy without, if you remove infant mortality, is still like 32 to 35 years old. So this idea that whoever's in the chat that's saying like, oh no, we don't know what we're talking about, we're wrong. No. I'm citing Paula Fredrickson, who's like the leading scholar on like the earliest layers of Christianity on this thing. And she has gone and worked with, I don't know the names of the types of scientists that do that type of thing. That I guess it's paleontologists of some kind and geneticists of some kind who are able to determine what the average lifespan is. But all the citations are in her book, and that book is in the highlight section of my Twitter for free. So go check it out. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
All the citations are there.
And knowing the truth, they were even willing to die for it. The fourth E stands for the word eyewitnesses. When you study ancient history, we're lucky if we have one good source to confirm a fact, or maybe two good sources. So if you have Alexander the Great, and we believe certain things about his life, well, it turns out two good sources. And yet for the death of Jesus, there are 9 ancient sources.
Hold on. Paul never knew an earthly Jesus or saw the crucifixion. Mark is the first gospel written. It is built upon Paul, who never knew an earthly Jesus or witnessed the crucifixion. Matthew copies Mark. Luke copies Matthew and Mark. John is aware of the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but then creates his own story. Acts, complete fiction later on, not historical. First Clement, when he talks about the crucifixion, he's citing Isaiah 53 in a midrash, doesn't talk about any eyewitness. Ignatius, same story, doesn't talk about the Gospels, not aware of the Gospel story.
He's writing around, he writes in 110.
Right, 110.
Ignatius is 110. And he's just defending the faith, by the way. He's just talking about Christians that are defending the faith.
Ignatius is acknowledging that Christians exist. He's not a first-hand eyewitness source that Jesus lived.
And Polycarp's even later, isn't Polycarp's like 125 or something. If you want to, I don't know, maybe look that one. I think he's like 125, maybe 130, I think, because Polycarp is an important part of Nina Lively's dating. So I think he's like 125, if I remember correctly, just from reading her book recently.
They say 110 to 140.
Okay, so yeah, I think she dates at 125 or 128, something like that.
But all he says is there's this guy that Christians believe in that died and raised from the dead and exalted. He just knows the Christian story based on Christianity. He's not an eyewitness testimony.
sure.
You can't count him as a source of Jesus when it's written after Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Paul's letters. Yeah.
100 years after is like just that alone. It's too long.
Two good sources, and yet for the death of Jesus, there are 9.
Wait! Did you see that last one?
In-
Arian. He cited Arian.
About his life. Well, it turns out two good sources, and yet for the death
that's
of
for
Jesus, there are
Alexander.
9 ancient sources inside and outside the New Testament, confirming and corroborating the conviction of the disciples that they encountered the risen Jesus.
No, acknowledging that this things that a group called Christians believe.
Is an avalanche.
If we have a writing within a year of Muhammad and Islam starting, acknowledging that Muhammad is real and those things, is that going to mean it's real? Does that mean Muhammad really flew away on the ascension to heaven?
Blanche.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe one
data. It was based on that kind of
people acknowledging that a religion exists is not proof that the religion is real. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Evidence that I sat as an atheist and said, wait a minute, if I'm going to follow the evidence wherever it points, which is what I was always taught to do, then I have
He didn't do it all. He did not. He went to he's total worst, dishonest Christian apologist bullshit. And he acts like, oh, I was an atheist just trying to figure out the truth, and it led me to Jesus. This shtick is so lame.
Clue that Jesus didn't just claim to be God. He backed up that claim by returning from the dead.
And at some point, everybody has to answer that same question Lee Strobel did.
You know, if I did that, I would be so good at it. If you and I did that shtick, could you imagine how good we would be at it? Me and Adam, we used to be atheists. We used to didn't even think Jesus existed historically, but now we are Christians. Imagine how good we would be at just fighting all these. Like,
I can't lie.
Suck.
I'm not a good liar.
Even do it. I'm just saying, like, if we were, like, these guys kind of suck at it, even, right? Like,
I don't know. Some of them are pretty good. They do better than I could, I think, if I pretended to be Christian.
I could make way better arguments than some of these guys.
Oh, I could make better arguments, but I couldn't like be a convincing Christian liar.
Rise from the dead, then he wasn't just a good teacher. He was exactly who he said he was, God. And if you don't know where you stand with God, check out the related video at the bottom. And if you
pass. All right, we're
you want to keep
nowhere near the goal. You guys are letting me down big time today. Let's see a little. Do we need to enact the 5 shekel challenge, 5 shekel small hat challenge in effect? I haven't turned it off, have I? Yeah.
I've got I don't know if you want to get out of here, but I have a 5-minute clip, 2 5-minute clips, and one of them is about the claim that they always make where they go, we know the New Testament is with 99% accuracy. You know what I'm talking about? When they say that it's like very accurate compared to the old versions. And then the other claim is the women discovered the empty tomb, so it must be true claim. Do you want to have clips for each of them?
I can't handle anymore of that slop. Look at this slop. Daily Mail is so slop. They're calling Professor Zhang that China's Nostradamus. Professor Dave had a funny exposing video of Professor Zhang, and he's like, what did he predict? Like months or a year before that Trump would win the election and that there'd be a war with Iran? Like, how could he have? They're calling him Nostradamus because of that. It was like a 50-50 chance that Trump would win, and they've only been, talking about war with Iran forever, and the Jewish lobbies wanted it for years and years and years.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure Nostradamus is was ethnically Jewish, by the way.
Oh, really? Nostradamus-tein.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty confident in that claim.
Yeah, the glazing of this though, calling him Nostradamus, he's got to be a psyop. The astroturfing of praising him like this because of those two things. I was saying Trump was going to win and we're going to have a war with Iran, way before he was. And now mainstream media calling him Nostradamus. It's wild.
But yeah, Nostradamus was part of what you would call the Southern French Jewish community that was right across the border dealing with the Sephardic Jews and the Ashkenazi Jews. They were like these middlemen between the Rhineland Jews and the Spanish Jews. And it's his father's side almost assuredly had Jewish ethnicity in Southern France.
He's God.
So I think he was.
Yeah, so God is a Jew then, right? Womp womp. Thank you, Johan. Yeah, calling him Nostradamus because of Iran war and Trump winning, as if people paying attention, that wasn't obvious, those two things.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know what? Like the trope of Nostradamus and calling him that—that's obviously retarded and stupid.
Yeah.
But
Oh, thank you, Anonymous.
Thanks for
oh,
everything you
nice.
do.
Let's go. Anonymous always coming through big.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Dude, I just thought of this. He is kind of like Nostradamus, though. Nostradamus's predictions are dog shit, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He like makes thousands of claims in these like little poems, and you can read any historical event into them. And he is in what I would call like a Jewish tradition of midrash. He is firmly in that tradition, Nostradamus's writings, of like writing poetry or stanzas that are like predicting the future, that are broad enough that you can get something right, but narrow enough that somebody could read into it as a schizo. And like today, we're still fascinated with him because of that same like schizo brain prophecy process. So it is kind of interesting that they compare him to Nostradamus, because he kind of is like part of that same tradition of like schizo brain fraudulent prophecy bullshit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it goes to show where did I always hear about Nostradamus? At the checkout stand at the grocery in the tabloids, like what Daily Mail and New York Post are. Nostradamus bullshit, Bigfoot, Shroud of Turin, Noah's Ark found, right? Demons, aliens, it's always some shit like that, right?
The lowest
end times
fruit for goyim, like the lowest goyim fruit possible, right?
Yeah, the worst goy slop, exactly. All right, do we really have another Republican Jewish coalition?
Oh, that's a weekly occurrence. It's the weekly Republican Jewish coalition meeting. But dude, it's like on the level of Bat Boy. Like Nostradamus should be viewed as like Bat Boy or like Weekly Inquirer, like Bigfoot at this point. All this stuff should be in that same category in people's brains, man. We need to like grow up about this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's fun to like, it's fun. It's like junk food for your brain. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's fun to like live in that universe for a little bit. But let's grow up.
Tradamus.
Rumble. Nose emoji. Tradamus.
Nose Tradamus. That's funny. Okay, let's hear a little bit of these clips from Menahan and the RJC.
Over the past few months, the RJC spent more than $5 million to defeat Thomas Massie.
And then they say they called Thomas Massie anti-Semitic when he pointed out all the Jewish money going against him.
SK8 Orbazad sent $10 on Rumble.
Oh, maybe he was a black Jew.
We was prophets. we was psychics.
And let me say very clearly tonight that was a fight worth having and a victory worth celebrating. When someone repeatedly undermines support for Israel, traffics in isolationism at a moment of global danger, and refuses to stand with the Jewish state when it matters most, there has to be consequences. Over the past few months...
You go along with the Jews or consequences. Here's Randy Fine bragging about Thomas Massie losing too. They are not coy about this. What?
They get so close to Fed posting. Like that's like they know where the line is and they get right up to it and they like, I'm not touching you.
Grace O'Malley sent.
Thank you, Grace.
You can't lie well because you have a pure heart.
It really is true. I cannot lie. My wife will like bust me on something and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm really bad at it. I don't get a lot of I never got a lot of practice. Never needed to.
That's one thing about gays is that they often are times like just pro liars because of it.
We have shown the evil that comes out of his mouth and the evil of so many like him. I served with two anti-Semites, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. One we got to quit, and the other, thanks to all of you, we beat.
Wow. So Thomas Massie, they beat. We beat. He's speaking to the Jews, Republican Jews. And they forced her to quit. We're green. No, it must be a Rumble.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't get a cut on my end. And usually when you do have an issue like that, it's on my end. Dude, Realify put out a Lawrence Southern video. It's so funny.
I wonder if we're still down.
Chat's going. Here, let me refresh the stream.
Yeah.
Dude, that thumbnail is so good. It shows that we're good. Yeah, you're good.
All right. Hey, this clip is really quiet, so I have it turned way up. So don't talk while it's going, or you'll blast their ears. All right, we're back. We're back.
Quit, and the other, thanks to all of you, we beat. And we're very, very lucky. Whereas Democrats 20 or 30 or 40 years ago had anti-Semitism show up in their party, and they minimized it, and they said it was the fringe, and they didn't deal with it, and it took over their party, the leader of our party said he wasn't going to deal with that. We often say that Donald J. Trump is the greatest friend that Israel's ever had, but that doesn't go far enough. Donald J. Trump is the greatest friend American Jews have ever had because he stands up and he fights for all of us. As we have shown the evil that comes out.
All right. Randy Fine W for them. I don't think it's a W. It's their W or RL's.
Anti-Semitism show up in their party.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. He's like, oh, the Democratic Party is taken over by anti-Semitism. Really? Really? What? 2 congresswomen?
Maybe, hopefully one day.
Tried to stop funding once. You know, that's it.
That's
too much, apparently.
It's crazy that they don't see how them overreacting like that is kind of like causing the problem. But whatever. Maybe they just don't even care.
Okay. Isn't this that like Jewish basketball coach or football coach, Bruce Pearl? Let's hear what he says. Hopefully the clip's louder.
Bring somebody. American Jewry has got to be this country's greatest patriots. We are running out of places to live, right? Aren't we? And we have got to make sure that we have a Congress that will stand with Israel and a president that will stand with Israel, and no organization has done a better job than RJC. I was so honored to speak at Yeshiva University the other day and challenge the future of American Jewry, challenging them to be tougher and kinder, to be more prosperous and more generous, to be harder working and less apologetic, and to be the best versions of who we know we are supposed to be. What I'm doing now, when you go to Israel and you ask, what can we do? What do they tell you? Come visit. Bring somebody else. Come back. So right now, all my work is taking congressional leaders to Congress with U.S. Israel Education Association and teaching Congress the biblical Jewish roots of their Christian faith, and they come back to Congress and they stand with Israel because they're biblically commanded to.
Whoa, you're commanded, Goy. Your Bible says this. Wow.
Oh, I'm glad Chris got that part. He didn't cut. He usually would cut that kind of part out, wouldn't he?
Yeah, nothing biblically commanded, Goy.
To Israel. We work in.
They're saying the rumble's down again. Dang, we're dropping a lot of people too. We dropped like 30 people. Yep. Taught at Auburn, New York for a decade. I think he won a championship too, right? That's why he's the new Jewish celebrity.
Birthright and take Jews to Israel. We take Maccabi USA, passages. How good is Kufi? How much do we need our Christian friends?
Hey, how about those Shabbos Goys, Jews? Pretty good, right? Kufi? How about those Christian Noahides?
How crazy is the way he started the framing of that too? He was like, we don't have many places left in the world to go except for Israel and America, because they're basically doing this framing where Europe is unable to have Jews in it. And what's the subtext there? Like, what's the reasoning? Oh, because Muslims exist there. It's not because of the native European populations are becoming quote unquote anti-Semitic or anything like that. That's not what they're talking about. No one's pretending that that's what they're talking about. But they're saying it's because of the Muslims. And why are Muslims in Europe? Well, Muslims are in Europe because the foreign policy of the West in general since World War II has been depopulating the Middle East and funneling the war refugees through Eastern Europe into Europe. Okay, so this whole problem is a problem, reaction, solution going on, right? Like, and they're just like very open about it. And really, it's just up to us to kind of connect those dots for people to see it. Okay, that's why anytime we see the ball worshiping or devil worshiping, and they're trying to import, all these like kooky conspiracy things are not helpful. We can just show them at their own meetings and their own policies and their own things that they brag about. We can just show them stating that. So we don't have to actually exaggerate or overstate claims or anything like that. And normal people will understand what we're saying. Like that's like we have the truth on our side. There's no reason to do the superstition stuff.
Look, Fine also says, does the "we're in 1930s Germany in America" line again.
That could be what we see on the streets of America today. You see, we live in 1932 Germany today. And in 1932 Germany, there were two kinds of Jews. There were those who left, and there were those who died. They didn't deserve it, but that is what happened. But in 2026, there is a new kind of Jew. It is the Jews of Israel, the ones who have said, I am going to fight. I am not going to go quietly. I am going to stand up for who it is that I am. And so
this is a popular movement in the Jewish community that he's leading,
have that
by the way.
Same choice to make. Now, some of us choose to make this choice. I have friends like Mike Lawler, who they may think he's a rabbi, but Mike has chosen to stand with us. And believe me, in his district, there are many who don't like the choice that he has made. But for people like me, the choice is different. This is a little bit emotional for me because 120 years ago, my grandmother sailed past the statue that you can see out the window if you walk over there. She came here fleeing pogroms in Ukraine and Russia, where 8 of her brothers and sisters were killed. And she came to the United States so that her family would have a better chance. And that is the choice. That is the story that so many of you have today. And so many of you have to make that same choice. I got the nickname the Hebrew Hammer for a reason. I know the choice that I made. But the question you have to ask yourself is, what is the choice that you all are going to make? We have that choice. The choice to be nice, the choice to play along, the choice to try to get along, or the choice to fight, to call out the evil where it is. Because if we do that, we will win this fight, and our prospects in the United States and in the world will be greater than they have ever been.
It's like appealing to David, right? Like that's kind of what they're doing when they're doing this. It's kind of interesting. I would say there's like a whole faction of like Randy Fine type Jews who have this sort of mythos of, oh, we're the ones who are never going to let another thing happen because we're going to stand up and fight back instead of running or instead of like letting ourselves be killed. There's going to be this like third way where we stand up like the Lion of Judah we were always meant to be.
Jesus also appeals to people with daddy issues. NMA talked about wanting to understand the psychology further. Look into the effects of active cognitive dissonance. Amalek is a good insightful guest.
Thank you, half-based. Good point.
Yeah, that's a hugely, I would say, growing portion of right-wing Jews, and it's weird because that worldview accepts racism almost, right? So it's going to be like there's going to be like racist Jews who are okay with racism and might even flirt with like Hitlerism in a way, right? Like you see this faction on Twitter. I don't know if anyone else does. And like this is their champion right now is Randy Fine doing this stuff. It's kind of interesting to see, I think, because it is like it's a development that can only happen in a world where Israel exists. Does that make sense? Like there's no proud Lion of Judah Jew. You know, it's basically like the Jew that Herzl always idealized in a way, right? That it's the one that he wanted them to all become is now in a weird way that like that's what they have done. And now this is like the next stage of that.
Mm-hmm. Now here's a new video out today. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, calls the UN a cesspool of anti-Semitism.
Like Francesca Albanese. And the UN has been and is a cesspool of anti-Semitism. And under President Trump, there is no more turning a blind eye, period. We are going to use our voice, our vote, our money, and what leverage we have. So I won't elaborate on too much of what you see out there. But what I do want to tell you is what we're doing about it. Well, number one, anti-Semites that call Israel a stain on humanity, like Francesca Albanese, are now sanctioned. Number two, Organizations like UNESCO, we've backed out of. We're no longer funding. UNRWA, we are going to dismantle and are in the process. The so-called Human Rights Council that has the likes of China, Cuba, Venezuela, and others on it, we are no longer participating in. And I think most importantly, on the Security Council, we have vetoed time and time again 6 by resolutions by my count just since October 7th, measures that are completely, absolutely, and only targeted towards our best, and I would say, and absolutely the most democratic ally, the only democratic ally in the Middle East, Israel.
So there you have it. As he's bragging about all of this, and pandering to the Jewish Policy Center, everything at the UN is all about protecting Israel, co-signing Israel, defending them. They're able to get away with it because of us guarding them and shielding them at the UN and from the world community. That's how I view that clip.
Yeah, think about how much like diplomatic influence and capital that we're spending for Israel on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much goodwill a nation produces and like is able to use in the diplomatic stage, and it's like probably the most important part of like international politics now. It's more focused on diplomacy now than ever before in the history of mankind, you know? And we're basically spending our daily or our monthly, income of influence on Israel every single month, to the point where we're like at an influence deficit and sharply declining.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Somebody tagged me on this. Look, No More News. You'd like this for your show. Thank you, Tribal Defender. Dr. Taylor Marshall, based Christian, one of these supposed based Christians, right? 9 reasons why UFO and aliens are demons. All in lockstep with the same narrative, the same biblical demon framework. I don't even want to listen to what it's just
very beginnings of humanity. And just this past week, you've seen the White House come out about, of the air. The idea is that before they are bound by Jesus Christ and cast into hell.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. We get it. They're demons. And how about this one? Joe Rogan says that he thinks we are genetically engineered by aliens.
I think we're genetically engineered.
It mentioned 65 or 63.
This crank.
Correct.
Bizarre. Total bullshitter.
To the genetic makeup.
Jewish.
That finally resulted in, a human creature.
I don't believe that it's a very simple evolutionary timeline between ancient hominids and human beings.
Jewish,
I don't buy it. It happens too quick. It's too weird.
Are we? Is it
too quick and too weird for Homo sapiens, for humans to evolve from a more ape-like creature? What do you mean?
I don't understand how people don't get evolution when we have dogs. Do people just like I have a dog, I go to a dog park a lot, I see a lot of different dogs. How do you not see dogs and instantly understand that evolution is real? I don't get this. Mm-hmm. The diversity in species of the dog population clearly explains how evolution works on humans, okay? Mm-hmm. And the rest of the world, biologically speaking. How does no one else understand it? I don't get it. To me, it's like that is the obvious indicator that it's true. The fact that there's
I don't buy this humans evolved from apes. It's like our brains couldn't evolve and get better. It's like if that becomes like our special power, evolution would favor that for more growth.
Well, think about how much of a diversity there is in the dog population. That all goes back to like ancient wolves, right? And that only goes back like a couple thousand years and hundreds of thousands of years, right? Like our relationship with dogs. And then how many different types of breeds do we have, and different types of intelligences, and the different breeds have different personalities. You can just type in any dog breed into Google right now, and it comes up with their personalities. Like we can just explain the world and the differences in biological reality and the differences in populations just just within the dog species. Now, these guys are going to say, well, dogs aren't different species. Like, you can breed other dogs together. Yeah, this is like the short-term version of it. But this is how this happens, is these slow incremental changes and building up until the species themselves, or until species themselves form their own groups.
Yeah, the evolution we see in dogs or wolves is like over 40,000 years, something like that. The evolution time frame between, when you could classify us as more ape-like to human, a few 100 million years. That's the difference. I don't buy it though. I think it must be aliens. It couldn't happen naturally. It has to be aliens.
And it seems to be like that what apes are today are the descendants of our common ancestor that refuse to basically like eat meat, be smart, organize in the same way we do, use tools, things like that. It's like we did in the same way like Second Temple Judaism split into Rabbinic Judaism, Christianity. Yeah. It's like we had a genetic split like that where one path led to apes that we see today, monkeys and retards, that they're not smart, and then to the people that we are today, the various different types of humanity, right? So it's like that's what it is. It's not that we're evolved.
There's some
monkeys.
pockets of like untouched tribes in the Amazon or in Africa that like if it weren't for Western advanced society help, they would like be living almost on par with like million years ago human species, newly evolved humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, also when the big boost that humans got with the brain capacity was cooking meat, cooking the protein so they broke down and they could be used as to fuel the brain more. And then also once we started doing dairy farming and agriculture, livestock, then our brains really started to explode with all those fats from the milk.
Well, and then once we were able to do like an agricultural society where like people didn't have to work all day and you could have like a way of getting your intellectual or power, like smartest people to the top of your society and start getting ideas going, things like that. That's when the technological boom starts to happen. And then we've just been compounding on that. I don't understand how people don't understand how this happened. Like our story is fascinating in itself. It doesn't require supernatural Jewish God. It doesn't. It's fascinating by itself that we've achieved what we have through all this like imperfection and trial and error and all the hardships and all the things that have happened in our history has led to where we are today. That is amazing.
You mentioned the dogs in evolution. It's kind of interesting. Like you're right. You look up dog breeds and it'll be like intellect this, like aggression this, domestication this, but then like you go like, well, what about like the human species? Like, no, they're all the same intellect, same impulse control, same aggression. It's like, no, there are variations clearly.
Birds are the same way. The birds are the same way. I have this app on my phone where I can look at a bird at a park and take a picture of it, and it literally brings up the profile and how sociable they are with other birds of their species, non-birds, other birds that are not of their species, their intelligence, their behavior, all these things. So we know this is true about all species, and then when we apply that lens to humans, we're supposed to like get this like pearl clutching attitude. It's retarded. It's so ridiculous. And it's so obvious that this is how it works. Everybody can understand. Everybody while you're growing up is realizing that, oh, wow, I really am just a combination of my mother and father, right? Like everyone knows what I'm talking about. That's over the age of 30. You really are just, you are your mother and father. So what you actually are is you are your mother and father, the mother and father going all the way back and back and back and back. That's what evolution is. That's what really determines people's behavior that's like instinct and things like that.
Timeline between ancient hominids and human beings. I don't buy it. It happens too quick. It's too weird.
Is it turning too weird? So our brains developed in like a few 100 million years. That's not quick or weird. It's like to be expected.
Out that mankind is in fact just another animal in the zoo, or because we thought ourselves as a zookeeper before, but maybe we're just another exhibit inside the zoo. What would that mean to us?
I'm like, you're a birdie. Chat's calling you a birdie.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling you this. We found these birds in my backyard, and I took it like building a nest, and we had to download an app to see. And then when I go to the park and I see other birds, I want to know what other kind of birds they are, and I get to learn all the different types of birds. It's cool. Just funny. I just don't understand how people don't see evolution.
Dirt Gang Arizona sent $5 on Rumble. My Rottweiler has better impulse control than a Chihuahua.
Dude, I used to have a bull mastiff mixed with pit bull, and he had the best impulse control. Little dogs would like snip at him or try to attack him, and he wouldn't even fight back. He was such a big teddy bear, which is not normal for pit bulls. The bull mastiff really calmed him
there's
down,
definitely exceptions to the rule, but the exceptions to the rule also in a way prove the rule. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone has like an understanding of a behavior, and we can see how that translates to humans. And what's so stupid is that these people who are into like racial politics and HBD and race is real and Africans need to go back, yada yada yada. No, you're brown, all these things, and if you're 10% Mexican, you got to go back. These people that are like hardcore HBD biological determinists are also denying evolution.
And then they deny evolution. Yeah.
It's the most incoherent worldview I could possibly imagine. It's so dumb.
Yep. They go, out of Africa's debunked, and then they're like, there should be a meme like of the Christian, like, out of Africa, that's Jewish. And then it'll say, we all came from Noah Ark. Yeah, Noah Ark, and then it shows like the happy face. Yeah.
We all came out of Mount Azarath or whatever it is, and we all came out.
Arafat, yeah. Ararat.
That one. Ararat. Yeah, that one.
Few new clips coming up about Trump. Trump sounding very tired. Attacks woman reporter for not smiling. Let's see.
Massive smile. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman. Never smiles. I never see a smile off her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes. Like she has hatred because we have borders, because we have a strong military, because we cut our taxes, because we do things that everybody wanted, and then we win our election in a massive landslide. We win 87% of the counties in this country. Nobody's ever heard of a thing.
What was it a big, so far, is it considered a big Republican victory? It wasn't the blue wave that many had expected, right? I think that's kind of the takeaway from the elections yesterday, primaries.
I guess. I didn't pay attention to this too much.
He seems to think so.
Yeah, I don't know. He says stuff all the time that's just like untrue. Like one of the things that we covered on here before, or you covered it on here before, is like his idea that like we destroyed 90% of Iranian's navy. I've seen the other side of the reporting on that. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that most of their navy is intact actually still. It's not a navy that's built like ours, that's based on like capital ships and frigates and things like that. It's like based on smaller ships that they hide in these caves basically, and these like rapid deployable ships where you can like take them from land to water very quickly, and like that's what their navy is based on. So the idea that like we destroyed that and we know that's just retarded. Like we have no way of knowing that. They're literally ships hidden in caves and things like that. And this is like reporting that is from like international agencies and third parties that's outside the United States. So I think what's going on a lot of times is he's being told stuff like, 87% win, 90% of their navy's destroyed, on all these types of little like numbered factoids from Trump. You can basically dismiss those, I think, as far as like, are they true to reality? They're interesting to report on in terms of like what he thinks and what he says, but I don't think that they're accurate to reality.
Yeah, it's safe to assume Trump is probably bullshitting with everything that comes out of his mouth. That's a safe bet.
Like that. And that's because we're doing the right job. And we took a detour down to Iran because we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
A detour.
Under any circumstances, we can't let that happen. So the reporters should be happy. They shouldn't be unhappy. They should be very happy. Because you know what we're doing? We're saving our country. Smile. She never smiles. She's a young.
Attacking Iran is saving our country, apparently.
Dealing with Iran, but when you're dealing with other countries, but that's a very volatile part of the.
First one is, are you concerned at all that the IRGC could sabotage any potential deal? And then the second one is, you have a birthday coming up. I won't say which number, but it's a big birthday. So you're going to
88.
You're going to blow out some candles on a cake, hopefully. What are your wishes that you'd like to see accomplished for the next year for the United States and your presidency?
Well, I'll go.
He's turning 80.
In your order. Anything can happen, when you're dealing with Iran, but when you're dealing with other countries, but that's a very volatile part of the world, probably the most volatile part of the world. It's very.
Did you see Amalek? I meant to cover it. They're doing the 250-year anniversary, and they had all these terrible musical celebrities trying to come. Then a bunch of them like bailed out, and Trump says just cancel it or something. It's gonna be some cringe fest. It's gonna be as bad. Remember his parade, his big military parade, and how much of a shit show that was. That's what this 250-year thing looks like it's going to turn into.
You know, just I got to be honest. My first thought was, you know, this is what happens when you try to do like pageants and pageantry and like military parades while excluding the gays.
You need gays. You're right. Good point.
Yeah,
They need more
you
gays.
need the zesty. You need the zesty flair to do the parades to at least get you going, you know. And then once you get your parades going and you're looking good and you have the good outfits and you're marching in lock, I mean, then you can like get rid of them. You can push them to the side and you don't need them anymore. But you definitely can't seem to get any sort of semblance of
you end up with Kid Rock. You don't have any gays. You end up with Kid Rock. Kid Rock as your headliner of America.
Yeah, you kind of need gays, I think, to do some of the stuff they're trying to do.
Yeah. Could you imagine the parade if they had some gays?
The people are volatile. The leadership, you see what's going on. We've gone through 3 teams of leadership. It's been we're military. There's never been a military like what we have. We could go another 2-3 weeks and just wipe everybody out. I'd rather not do that. Very easy to do. They're ready to do it. They want to do it. They want to do it. But if we can get something down in writing which will accomplish the same thing without killing everybody, I'd like to do that. Most of my people, I think, would like to do that.
Yeah, the gays are too busy in the Trump admin working making his edits for him and stuff.
Detour, as far as wishes for, and I'm very proud of that detour, you know. By the way, just to finish off on that, we had the strongest stock market in history, and I said we have no choice, we have to do it. I knew it would affect it, but I was very happily surprised when I saw that today we hit another stock market high. I mean, we have the highest stock market in history with a...
Okay, I think we got
He really doesn't give a fuck, huh? I mean, citing the stock market might be the worst thing you could possibly cite as far as like, if you were wanting to do well in the midterms or anything like that, like you would actually be better off talking about literally anything else.
It's funny. Trump is when the stock market's doing well, he goes, it's because of him making America great again. Everybody should be happy. But then when it's down, it's like, that doesn't mean anything. That's only temporary, blah, blah, blah. That's not what's important statistic, you know. He's just a total bullshit frontman.
Mr. President, given Iran's attacks on Kuwait, this latest attack on Kuwait, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Well, you know, there's a reason for everything. And we hit them pretty hard the night before, and actually last night. And when it was explained to me, I said, all right, so we'll do that. But we've been hitting them pretty hard, a little bit. So there is a reason for certain things, and this usually...
That's it? Come on, he doesn't look that bad. He's tired, probably. Oh, they're going to redo the Lincoln reflecting pool.
They just had this done. Well, these are, they just had this done. You're getting a first glimpse, but that's your size compared. So those are compared to, those are among the tallest buildings in the
2030.
The Empire State Building, World Trade Center.
Our pool is bigger than skyscrapers. 1776 to 2030, the beginning and the end. Project 2030, Messiah 2030, 1776 to 2030.
Sears Tower, Chicago. So if you lay it on its side, you take 2 or 3 of them to fill it in, because the width is almost 200 feet wide. And actually much more than 2,000, close to, including everything, it's about 2,500 feet in length to the end. Well, these are, they just had this done.
Dude, he's doing this. He's doing the ballroom. He's doing the arch of Titus, ark. He's building Noah's Ark. Yeah, Gaza, Trump Tower, when
do this stuff. It's crazy. This is such bad optics. Like, I don't understand who.
He's trying to leave a legacy. He's trying to create a big legacy like a Roman emperor and have a bunch of shit built after him and named after him. That's what it is. He wants to go down in history as like the greatest leader ever. That's what motivates him.
Yeah,
to
but
do
he's
all these
surrounded
things.
by people that are totally incompetent, unable to like take his vision or what he wants to do and take it out to the world. What they only are able to do is just like suck him off and yes man him, right? Like they're totally incompetent.
You know, it reminds me, I remember learning about how Hitler had like architects and he was really involved and he built all these crazy like forums and stuff that he wanted to build. And then the war happened and they got destroyed and it never happened. Is that what's going to come about all of Trump's new real estate deals?
That is interesting. Some of the people that were like underneath Hitler and that worked for the general staff did talk about this, like that he was becoming kind of obsessed with this idea as it kind of was falling apart. And he like didn't want to, you know, I think he kind of felt regret about his decision at Dunkirk, and he felt betrayed by the British people, if that makes sense. You know, I don't know Hitler personally or anything, but I think that he did feel that way, truly, because he didn't want, I don't think he wanted to do a lot of the things that he ended up having to do for the war. I mean, he did see like the British people as like brothers, and he wished that they had, you know, not done what they had done.
Okay, last one now. I've been looking forward to this. Everybody's been saying, watch the boys show. It's all about, you're going to love it. It's about like Bible and prophecy and messiahs and stuff. So Amalek got a good clip. I do. What's up with that, Elijah?
Well, now you got to have Basil on, right?
Dude, I want to watch that. Basil's going to bring the gay out of Elijah so much. It's going to be hilarious.
It is going to be hilarious.
Basil, go super gay with Elijah. Get him sassed up.
Play gay chicken. Play gay chicken with him is what we need.
Yeah.
Dude, did you hear him on Chad Champion? I don't actually want to repeat what he said, actually. It's gross. And I don't
Oh, yeah. He talked about Sarah Stock like licking his butt or something like that, right?
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that might just be bullshit story, and she's not going to come back and defend herself. I don't know. It's fucking, he's fucked up, but you know, this is the people that we get in this scene, because everyone tolerates this sort of I would call it like closetedness. You know, say what you will about Basil, but he's like open about who he is, and he's not trying to like sell Islam to anybody, and he's not trying to like sell like himself as like some, you know, trad non-gay person. He's exactly who he says he is. And people like Schaefer and these other people, and they're trying to like sell a product that they don't actually have.
Dude, I think they're going to be, I think Elijah and Basil are going to get zest sellers of the week. Like a take seller, they're going to be the zest seller of the week.
That's going to be funny. And they're like warning against that, if you will. So the quote unquote Democratic Church of America is the private company Vought in the show that makes superheroes, and teamed up with the government. Like the government literally is underneath this corporation of Vought, and like one of their subdivisions is the church, and they're bringing it up to like basically make a mythos.
Birchbone sent $5. Jews are obsessed with the concept of Gentile leaders destroying themselves.
Yeah, like
using
Purim.
Infrastructure meant to kill Jews. Looking forward to see how Trump gets his Haman Armless ending.
It won't be Trump. It's going to be all of the West that gets the ending.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to it, actually.
So this is one of the most popular shows and people are watching right now, and this is laying what I would call like the vocabulary and the framing and the groundwork and the building blocks, the foundation, however you want to describe this. It's laying this idea of like a revival of religion and a merging of the corporate, religious, and governmental sphere. It's very strange, but.
So is this like what's the term? Conditioning?
Yeah, conditioning.
I'm forgetting the term.
That's a good
no,
one.
it's more than conditioning. It's
neuro-linguistic programming.
Predictive program. Is it predictive programming, or is it like, is this a critique, a satirical critique of Trump and Christianity?
Well, that's the thing, is it plays at both, and because it's so on the nose and it's very not subtle, it's able to do it in a way that other shows wouldn't have been able to be done. Like basically, like there's no subtlety in any of the motifs or any of the parts of this show. They're on the nose with everything they do, and they're just so it kind of like works as both, I would say. It's a pretty good satire, actually.
Mm-hmm. And who is this guy now? Because I've never seen the show at all. So who is he? Like a superhero?
He's like the king superhero. He's like the Superman. He's the most powerful guy. He's like the guy, basically. And the story, for spoilers for those who haven't seen it, is he's basically trying to find the original superhero serum so that if he takes it, it'll make him become immortal. And he's trying to make himself God, basically. Because if he's
does he
immortal,
have magical powers in the show?
Oh yeah, he's invincible, laser eyes, super speed. He's literally like the guy. He's like God. This is the thing. He is God in a way in this world, because anybody who does anything that goes against him, he crushes them. Like he's put
How does he have magical
opposition
powers
camps.
in the story?
They're given a serum, basically. It's a serum that they're given by this company, and it makes them as a child, gives them powers, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, Homelander's supposed to be like a stand-in for Trump, and which is also like a stand-in for Hitler and the what I would call the authoritarian personality critique, which is like the most popular critique of Jewish authorship since the World War II, I would say.
Okay.
They're trying to say that like Trump is trying to make himself the new Jesus. That's what's kind of trying to being said here. And like I don't know, I think they're overreacting, but also they're getting to like a true thing at the same time, you know?
Yeah, it's just like Trump doing himself as Washington. Trump just posted one of him as like a general with the eagle on him the other day, and he's like, "You will be obliterated,"
that's what these
or
are,
something.
see?
Yeah.
Trump administration is like a Christian conspiracy and Christian nationalist conspiracy in the same way that someone on our sphere might think it's a Jewish conspiracy. That is how the liberal leftists think about this thing. So isn't it interesting how they basically have a very similar critique of religion as us? They just don't fully understand it, but they're willing to go there against religion in their critique. They're willing to go balls to the walls like this because that is what they're doing here.
That's the NAR, the New Apostolic Reformation, Seven Mountain Dominionism. Right, Jack Stone. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Explicitly calling that out.
On Netflix.
And they'll all believe in you, right? And then you'll have power.
And somebody just pointed out in chat, and I totally forgot to mention this. I wanted to make a post about this earlier. The writer of this is the writer from Supernatural. Now, I don't want to get into it too much, but the person who wrote Supernatural absolutely understands what I would call like esoteric Jewish mysticism. Okay, like I could do this for hours. I've watched the entire show probably 3 times over. It's like my favorite show growing up was Supernatural. It's kind of probably why I hate myths and superstition so much. But the writer of this show is that same dude, and I'm telling you, that guy absolutely knows. I mean, you could call it gem, you could call it like esoteric Jewish messaging, however you want to explain this phenomenon. He knows what he's doing with this stuff. He's not just like accidentally painting these pictures, I would say. That in Israel and things like that. Yeah. And then there's Book of Trump from So like I said, it's it's interesting that liberals don't seem to be able to put the whole thing together, but they're way closer to the truth than the right wing on this topic right here. The right wing is totally like goo goo gaga blind when it comes to religion stuff. As soon as you mix religion in, they don't understand the world. And the liberals, because they're not religious, are able to fully understand what's going on here. And that's what the commentary is here. I love this clip. It's so interesting.
It's also kind of like Church of Latter-day Saints too. They have their American Book of Mormon.
It is, and it is what he was trying to do. I think Mormonism is fake and gay. This time he couldn't possibly imagine doing that without keeping like a foot in Christianity. You know what I mean? So he's trying to like pull away from from the roots of Christianity to do your own Americanized version. But in his time, in the 1800s, when he's doing this, he couldn't contemplate a world of doing that and completely breaking away from the Bible. I do think that was kind of what Joseph Smith and Brigham Young were trying to do. So it's a good point. That is what they were. Or like overly sexual material or anything like that. Do not watch that show. It is. I fast forward through a lot of that stuff. It doesn't bother me too much. I would just prefer not to watch it, and it's pretty bad, especially this last season. So if I'm not. That is not an endorsement of that show for you guys. I just think it's interesting as far as like the cultural relevance of it is. It's hard to really overstate how important it is to understand like what's going on in our culture today, in our politics today, and like, while ignoring things like that. So I think certain people should watch and deconstruct it.
Yep. All right, guys, everybody, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Substack, subscribe star below to support the channel. Thanks for all the big donos. We smashed the goal today. I really appreciate it. Wouldn't be able to do it without you. Leave a comment below. I love reading all your comments. Shout out Amalek. Follow Amalek for joining us again. He's going to put together a longer compilation from all the seasons and episodes with the best highlights from that show. I look forward to that. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.